Hey, J-Bo Nation! Shaming of Jay. He's not a dopey dumb bitch. He gets laid. The court jester, the court DJ. It's time to dive into the case. To the case.
Good morning. Look at Bob, crystal clear. Look at this man. And he didn't even get the cord yet. He didn't even get well, he did get the cord. Oh shit, I can't hear you, Bob. Are you muted, Bob?
Good morning. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day to be a neighbor. Won't you be mine? Won't you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Welcome to day 5 of
Day 5.
Good old Chud. I'm ready. I'm excited. I was thinking about the trial last night, and I was thinking the state is putting on a good case, and the defense is putting on a good case, which is a perfect world. You want both sides putting on good cases, because down the road, that results in no appeal issues. You know what I'm saying? And like, I see the the comments about Pryor, and I get how he could, like, but in terms of like the mechanics of his job, he's doing a good job, and we want to see the state putting on a solid case, and this thing's going to keep steamrolling forward. Each day that passes, we're going to see more and more evidence, that's really going to tie Chad into this whole thing. They're building their story, they're building their narrative, and that's going along. And we want to see that resistance from the defense, because then when it comes to a verdict, and we've had the state put on a good, strong case, and they've done their job well, and the defense, we can say the same thing. And then when the jury comes back with their verdict, we can feel very secure that verdict's going to stand. You don't want a shit show from the defense side of it if you're thinking down the road. You know what I'm saying? So I think both sides are doing very, very well. I think that I'm frankly shocked that Pryor's doing as well as he is, based on the fact that he's in there solo. As I've said, it's like, it's just really tough to try a case without having a trial partner, So I'm looking forward to today.
You know what I like about it, Bob? Which happened yesterday. Like, we don't all agree in this chat. And like, each witness comes up, we're evaluating the witness, we're evaluating the attorneys. You and me don't agree. Like, I kind of think Pryor is condescending. You don't. Like, we don't all have to agree, folks. And that's what I love about it. And everyone's been respectful. Like, I know in the chat people have not agreed on Pryor. Some people, like, people agree with Bob, that like, he's not being condescending. He's like a pit bull. He's doing his job. Some people agree with me. Like, but we're all being respectful, and that's exactly how we're going to do Karen Reed. We're going to evaluate each witness as they come up. We're going to evaluate the attorneys as we watch them. For example, like yesterday, there were 2 witnesses. There was the detective from Arizona. I think he was from, but I thought he did a very good job. But the witness before that, who was the FBI, I think did not do as good a job. So we're going to evaluate each witness as they come up, and then at the end, kind of do the same thing the jury is doing But at the same time, you're getting, analysis from Bob talking about like why it's great to be here in addition to the chat, but you're going to get analysis from Bob who's been doing this for 23, so we
Yeah,
appreciate you all respecting that.
we
And
love you guys. You guys were crushing, and like as always, it's like the less work that you give the mods to have to do in terms of having to put people in timeouts and things like that. It's like it's just more enjoyable. It's more enjoyable for us to be able to have spirited debate,
and
and
guys,
it's fun.
I was
It's
just
so
gonna say,
fun.
someone else who appreciates that, and I see Babe is here. She is in Kansas, folks, and she is probably not going to be happy to hear that we have a guest with us today. Oh, hold on. Oh, there's
Oh
Gary,
no!
folks.
Oh
Gary,
no!
I have figured out
Shans,
how to do sound
Shans, help me,
effects.
Shans.
I have figured out how to do sound effects with this program, folks. I'm very excited about it.
Idly ho, neighborinos.
Gary,
I'm feeling pretty good.
pretty,
Pretty good.
So, guys,
love it.
not only have I figured out sound effects with this, I was talking to Bob, and I'll go because it started already, and I'll go turn it on. But I have been I was up like all night when I try to think. Like I'm like Bob. I talked to Bob. I'm like Bob. I want to figure out a way to make have people call into us, and I also want to figure out a way to have these sound effects. And like I was up all night researching because like there's if you guys watch Recovery Addict, he has this big fucking like board with like a million lights, and I think that's how he takes calls. But I think I'm gonna be. I mean, I bought this program, and I think it's gonna. Me and Bob are always trying to make our like lives better and more interactive for you guys. Provide contact you like. So I think I'm gonna be able to take call. Me and Bob will be able to take calls from you. We're gonna have to test it out, but
It'd be awesome. We'd
it'll
love to
be cool
hear
if we
from you guys. We'd
if we
love to,
get some.
and it's such a like a fun, interactive way to for us to connect with y'all. So I'm sure Jay's going to get it figured out. He always puts the work in and gets all the tech stuff done. So that'll be cool. That'll be great to be able to take calls, and especially like during downtime, like where we've
Right.
got time to kill. It would be great to hear from you all. So I'm looking forward to you getting that all figured out, Jay. It's going to be fun.
It should be soon, folks. And by the way, I was just talking to Bob. Probably we're thinking tomorrow night, maybe like 9ish. We're gonna do a because I'm gonna be on Judy AA Legal Focus's show on 7:30, 8:30. I think 9 o'clock. Me and Bob gonna set up a stream where we give you the background, Karen Reed. If you're not familiar with the case, get you guys up to speed for when, because it could be starting sooner than we thought, folks. So I think we're gonna do that.
Yeah, I mean, the word on the street is that they were able to get 4 jurors impaneled yesterday. So, I mean that's a much quicker arc than we were led to believe in terms of how long it was going to take them to get a jury. That doesn't mean that today. I mean, today could be a complete nightmare and they don't get anybody impaneled. But so Jay and I are keeping an eye on that. But just to be safe, we do want to get that primer done because I know we had a couple of people tweeting at us last night wondering if we had done that yet, and we have not. We will certainly give you all a heads up, and we'll promote that when we're going to give our read primer, which is great because our gals behind the scenes are working really hard at getting all our stuff ready for us so that we can give you guys the straight dope and let you know who's who, give you kind of the timeline, and we'll basically go through everything that we think that you can expect to see at trial, and it's always helpful to obviously know who the major players are, starting with obviously, Karen Reed, John O'Keefe, all the people surrounding them, and then, obviously who the prosecutors are, who the defense attorneys are, because it's fun going into a trial having that kind of background, and also we'll get into, both the theories. The state's theory is out there, and then the defense's theory is out there. And it'll be interesting. It's like what we were talking about yesterday, Jay, where it's one of those rare cases where going into the trial, we kind of have a situation where both sides, like the state always has a theory. Like they have to. It's their burden. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant did it. So they have to come into every case with a theory. Whereas, as you guys know, as avid trial watchers, the defense doesn't have to do anything. I mean, we literally don't have to put on a defense. We've seen plenty of trials where they've rested, without doing a damn thing, without putting the defendant on, without putting any witnesses on. And typically from the defense side of it, you know, you're doing that because you've sat there after the state's case in chief is closed, and you know, you're talking, you're like, all right, well, do you think that they made their case? Do you like, how do you think it went? Were we effective enough on cross-examination to where we don't think that the state was able to meet their burden? And of course, that is a calculated risk, you know, but like from the defense side of it, everything's a calculated risk, as you know, putting the defendant on to testify, you know, because the concept for lay people is everyone defaults to, if it's me and I didn't do something, there's no way in hell that I'm not getting on the stand and saying, I didn't do this shit. There's no, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's every human being defaults to that. Like, there's no way that I'm going to let somebody accuse me of doing something that I didn't do and going to sit and stand mute and not say and not profess my innocence. So, you know, like, I understand that concept, you know, in terms of like, do we put our defendant on? But the reality is that things can be taken out of context. The state can trip your guy up on the stand, and it can come across in a way that even if that person's innocent, it makes them look guilty because the state has a theory. And typically the state's theory, they've perfected it to the point where this is what we're saying, what happened. And it's typically pretty convincing. You know what I'm saying? So,
Well,
yeah, there's a lot going on.
Nikolai. I saw a lot of people say Mew or whatever, like he should have, like a lot of attorneys saying like he shouldn't have taken the stand. So like you just never know. You never know.
That's tough in a case, you know, and especially in a self-defense case. You know, like you almost feel as defense attorney that you have to put on your defendant in a self-defense case, because how otherwise are you proving up? How are you getting your evidence in terms of how it was self-defense? You know, like without getting the perspective of the person
in their state of mind.
Right. Because that's what it's all about, right? Is the state of mind. Was that person reasonable in thinking that, you know, either serious bodily injury or death is imminent to the extent where they acted in the way that they did in response to what was happening to them? And then, like, so it's like kind of a cognitive dissonance for me when, you know, I'm trying to figure out, do I have to put my guy on? Because you really never want to put your guy on, because as much as you prep your clients, like just being on the stand is a very nerve-wracking experience. And when you have the state that is very motivated to get a conviction, and they're going to be coming hard at the defendant, especially, you know, you can't have your defendant getting defensive, which anytime that any of us are attacked, like, just forget about a courtroom, just think about in real life. What is your natural response to being attacked? Is to get defensive. Like, that's just how we operate. And it's no different when you're in a courtroom, except that your life hangs in the balance or your freedom hangs in the balance, and you can ill afford to be able to do that. And it's a scary proposition when you're putting a defendant on, in terms of, are they going to be able to control it? I'm warning them. I'm like, the state is going to hammer away at you. We know what their theory is. They are going to be accusing you of things. Are you going to be able to hold up? Are you going to be able to maintain? And like with Mew, like his demeanor was fine, but it was his responses that just didn't make sense. And like, you had the warts with him wherein he lied after the fact, and he just did not have a reasonable explanation as to why he lied, because that wasn't a whodunit. You know what I mean? This wasn't a Murdoch situation, like, oh, well, I lied about being down at the kennels, you know, because we're still trying to figure out who actually killed Pawpaw and Mama.
Mags,
You know, Mags
and Pawpaw.
So it's like here we know that he did it, and you know, the question becomes, why did he lie about it after the fact? You know, so yeah, like when I was on Court TV, there were a lot of people that were like, yeah, like a lot of attorneys are like, man, he just like destroyed himself. Like, there's no way that they're going to acquit him after that. So yeah, but hindsight's 2020, in terms of like whether to put the guy on.
Here we go, folks, and I'll tell you a story maybe during our break. I had to testify once for when I was an insurance examiner, and let me tell you, I got defensive. So maybe I'll tell that during break.
It's hard not to.
It was hard. So we'll talk about that on our break. But let's get going. Let's see what's going on today.
Let's roll.
On the record on case CR 22211623, State of Idaho versus Chad Guy Daybell, continuing evidence with the state's case in chief. The state just concluded with a witness yesterday afternoon, and I believe intends to call another witness this morning. I'll note the prosecution's all here represented, as well as the defendant and defense counsel. Is the state ready to proceed today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense ready to proceed.
Yes, Your Honor, and I got the microphone on this time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pryor. If the parties are ready, then I'll go ahead and have the bailiffs please have the jurors brought in.
This is the good thing about being a little behind. We just fast forward through this shit. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, thank you for returning today. The court notes all the jurors are here, present and accounted for and properly seated. The court's also received and reviewed a juror affirmation from each one of the 18 jurors indicating they have followed the court's admonishment to not investigate or look into the case over the break. So thank you for following that instruction again. I'll submit those admonishments to the court clerk. I will also indicate one other thing to the jury. As just after the jury was impaneled, I believe a question may have arisen about how it works having alternates, because there are 12 jurors who will ultimately determine the case. And of course, we have extra jurors just given the length of this trial. I'll note that the way alternates are, the process is clearly defined under Idaho Criminal Rule 24. And I'll just read a portion of that to make it clear to you that says, at the conclusion of closing arguments, jurors exceeding the number required of a regular panel must be removed by lot. So in other words, there's a random drawing that would occur. So all of you must consider yourselves to be jurors in this evidence portion of the case. And if additional jurors remain once the case is submitted for deliberations, that would just be determined by a random draw, essentially, is what lot means. So I wanted to clarify that for the jurors so that someone didn't believe possibly they knew who the alternates would be or would not be. No one will know that until it's time to begin deliberations. So with that in mind, then the court would indicate the state is still in its opening argument in its case in chief with presenting evidence. And I understand the state was going to be calling Detective Considas as its next witness. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Wood, are you going to be examining the witness?
I will be.
All right, Mr. Wood, you can call your witness.
And the state calls Chuck Considas.
Oh, wait a sec. Shit. I love these sound effects too much.
You're the next contestant on The Price is Right. It's classic.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God. Thank you.
Man, I watched a lot of Price is Right growing up.
Dude, call out sick. I tweeted this. You called out if you call out sick. If you're out sick from school, at least for me, out sick from school, you wanted to see Plinko and you wanted to see the yodeler going up that yodeler.
I love the yodeler. Yeah, Plinko was great, man. Like Plinko, I think was probably my favorite. Yodeler was great too. What were some of the
Detective Considas, you've been sworn now. Before you begin testifying, I just want to inquire.
More cops.
This trial is being live streamed on the court's channel, and I wanted to inquire as to whether or not you have viewed any of the testimony or the trial proceedings before your testimony today.
Have not.
Okay, thank you for that. Mr. Wood, you can inquire on direct.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before I do, just briefly, I met with the court and counsel yesterday about some logistics for Detective Considis's testimony. And I spoke about having a copy of his exhibits with him. That copy right now is by my desk. I didn't want to put it up there until the court started. And so I'd ask if the court and counsel are still all right with those logistics, that he be handed that box of exhibits.
All right, Mr. Pryor, I will note we did discuss that in a sidebar. There's a large volume of pages in these exhibits, and does the defense have any objection to those being available to the witness as we go through admissions of those exhibits? All right, there is no objection then. So Mr. Wood, if you'd like to go ahead and provide the witness with those exhibits, as each though is offered, just make sure to make a clear record of what's being proffered, and we'll go through whatever becomes admitted.
Considis, the last.
Your name and spell your last name for the record.
My name is Chuck Considis. The last name spelling is Kunsaitis.
What is your occupation?
I'm employed as a police officer at the city of Rexburg.
And what is your title?
I'm a detective sergeant in the investigations division
How long have you been a detective?
since 2011.
And what did you do prior to that?
I was in the patrol division and as an acting patrol supervisor at one point before moving to the investigations.
Are you post certified?
I am graduated post class 131.
And what is post?
It's the police academy.
And in your role as an officer, have you continued receiving training over the last or during your career?
Yes, I have. I've been had education and training in drug and narcotics investigations, missing persons, death investigations, financial crimes.
Detective, how did you become involved in the case regarding Tylee Ryan, J.J. Vallow, Tammy Daybell, and Chad Daybell?
In November 27th of 2019, I was aware that then Detective Hermosillo, who's now a lieutenant, he was conducting search warrants at 3 different locations at the Rock Creek townhomes at 565 Pioneer Road. I believe the apartment numbers were 174, 175, and 107.
And did you aid in that search?
I was not a part of the original service of the warrants. I did show up on scene later in the afternoon and checked in with Detective Hermosillo and asked if I could be of any assistance.
On that day, did you obtain a search warrant for a storage unit?
I did. Detective had me walk through apartment 175 just to see if there's any evidentiary items of value that may have been missed. I located in the master bedroom of 175, which was the apartment that Lori Vallow was currently living in. There was a printer in the bedroom, and on the printer there was an invoice for a storage unit from the Self Storage Plus in Rexburg.
And so you obtained a warrant?
Oh, yes,
for
I
that
obtained a
storage
warrant
unit.
for storage unit number C52.
And did you execute that warrant?
I did.
What did you find?
There was, and there was a medium-sized unit, and there was only a bin, a tote bin with some items of like a baseball glove, some ice skates, some photo albums, and a couple of bicycles and a scooter. There wasn't a lot of content inside the storage unit.
All right. Detective, at any time in your investigation, did you have occasion to write a warrant for a P.O. box in Sugar City, Idaho?
I did. In late December of 2019, I got information from Gilbert Police Department in Arizona that Lori Vallow had a P.O. box in Sugar City, Idaho, just outside Rexburg.
And so you wrote a warrant for that.
I did.
Did you execute it?
I did.
What did you find in executing that warrant?
There was a large bundle of unopened mail, approximately 100 pieces or so. They were addressed to both Lori Vallow and her then husband, Charles Vallow, who was deceased, and her brother, Alex Cox.
All right. And going through that, did you find anything of interest to your investigation?
Yes, there were several pieces of mail that were from financial institutions. There were cell phone bills. There were letters from the IRS and Social Security Administration.
And based on what you found, did you obtain a warrant for any other mail?
Yes, around that same time, the owner of apartment 107 of the Rock Creek Townhomes, I believe his name is Stephen Cruz. He had contacted the police department and said there was some abandoned.
Your Honor, I think it goes to the question of why he did what he did.
Well, in terms of what he said specifically, I'll sustain the objection as hearsay.
Detective, without saying what anybody else told you, did you write another warrant for mail?
Yes, there was some abandoned mail that was turned into the police department from apartment 107.
Based on what you found in those warrants for the mail, did you serve any other warrants or subpoenas?
Yes, we served several warrants and subpoenas to different financial institutions and the cellular device companies.
What was, you said financial records, correct?
Yes.
What was the purpose of obtaining financial records in your investigation?
Well, we're a missing person case, and so there's a lot of information you can glean from going through financial records. It's not just how much money is in the account. You can look through the account to see if it's a regularly used account, if it's a business account, a savings account. You also get a kind of a peek into the life on how people spend their money, if they're eating out a lot or if they are just paying bills. You can kind of get an understanding of how people go about their daily lives.
Detective, regarding Lori Vallow Daybell and Tylee Ryan, did you create a list of financial institutions upon which you served a warrant for aid in your testimony at this trial?
I did.
And did you do that in anticipation of testifying before this jury?
Yes.
Did you prepare that list to aid the jury in knowing which financial institutions you're speaking about and to help them keep track of them?
Yes.
Do you believe that demonstrative list would so aid the jury?
I do.
Your Honor, I'd ask that the witness be handed a look at State's Exhibit 62.
All right, is that one of the ones that's in the?
Yes.
Okay, Detective, if you want to locate Exhibit 62.
Demonstrative list that we were just speaking about.
Yes.
And is it a true and accurate representation of what you created?
Yes.
Your Honor, for demonstrative purposes, I'd ask that Exhibit 62 be entered into evidence.
Any objection? No.
And may I publish?
Yes, Exhibit 62 is admitted.
Detective, is there a pointer
Yes.
there? Can you walk the jury through the accounts that you are going to be talking about?
Okay, so on this page, we're going to be, or just specifically for Lori Vallow, Daybell, and Tylee Ryan. Again, having served several subpoenas and warrants, we're looking through everything. We were able to narrow it down to these particular accounts that are pertinent to the investigation.
And I didn't realize that wasn't all showing. And so you had accounts for Tylee Ryan as well.
Yes.
All right.
Would you like me to go over them briefly?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the top account there, it's a JP Chase Bank. It's a joint account with Charles Vallow, and the number on the end right over here is just the account number, just the last four. There was another account through JP Chase that was a joint account that Lori had with her daughter, Tylee. There was an additional JP Morgan Chase account that she shared with Charles Vallow. This was another kind of a business account. And then we learned that there was a personal account through the BBVA Compass account that Lori had created for herself. And then at a later time, she created a joint account with Tylee through the BBVA. And then the next are credit cards. There's a Barclays Hawaiian credit card joint account that Lori Vallow shared with Charles. And they were each issued a card, and you see Lori had a card 6611 and Charles had a card was 0991. There's a Barclays bank account, a credit card that we found that Alex, who's Lori's brother, had opened up an account and actually had Lori on as a card holder. And you see that Alex had two cards here, and then Lori had a card in the last four numbers in that card was 9259. We have an additional First Hawaiian Bank account that Lori had. And the last two we see here are Chase Southwest Air, the PFS marketing credit card. The PFS is a Premier Financial Service. That was the business account that Charles Vallow had. He was an owner of this financial service. And then we had the National Life Insurance of the Southwest. Lori had a policy that she took out for personal reasons for $2 million. And just below that, the Tylee Ryan attributions, they're the same ones that were up on top under Lori's name, but we just put them under her name. So there's the JP Chase Morgan account, the 3918. This is an account she had while she was living in Arizona before they moved to Idaho. And then Lori opened up an account with Tylee when they got to just before they moved to Idaho. And Tylee was she had a Jeep Wrangler that Charles Vallow had purchased, and Tylee was making payments on. So we created that there.
Thank you. Your Honor, I'd ask that the witness look at State's Exhibit 63. And 63 has several subparts.
Okay, make sure to identify those subparts then, and Detective Consitis, you can locate that exhibit, please.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, I'd note for the record that 63 itself is a business record affidavit. And so this document comes in by way of stipulation.
All right, Exhibit 63 then. Give me a moment, we'll take a look at that also. Not there's in addition to 63. Is there any objection to the admission of 63, the affidavit? Very well. Exhibit 63 is admitted.
Look at, and may I, Your Honor, my understanding is that once that's admitted, all parts of this exhibit are admitted, and may I publish those?
Okay, and okay, so that would include then
63A through 63I.
Okay, I've got through H. Maybe there's.
We'll make sure we get a copy of that.
Okay.
And then
well,
does counsel have a copy of it? Okay.
I have a courtesy copy up through 63H, but you're saying there's also an I?
Yes.
Okay, so exhibits 63A through I are also admitted then.
Thank you. Detective, will you look at what's been marked as State's Exhibit 63A? What is that?
This is a electronic signature card for the account of the JP Chase Morgan, the 0769 account.
What is the significance of that account to your investigation?
So we learned that this account was an everyday account that both Charles and Lori utilized while living in Arizona. And we know that with this account is specifically interacts with Tylee's joint account when they're moving monies, transferring monies from account to account.
All right. Can you look at State's Exhibit 63B? Do you know what that document is?
This is a sample.
Meg P coming in hot, gifting out 5 DD memberships. Thank you, Meg P.
Monthly statement.
Bob, I think you're muted. Are you muted, Bob?
Yes, Jay, I'm muted. Thank you, Meg. Thank you for your wonderful generosity. I appreciate it.
Excuse me, a sample of monthly statements from the 0769 account dating from June 10th through September, I believe, of 2019.
And this is the account ending in 0769, correct?
Correct.
And did you review all the documents that came in with that?
I did.
Mr. Wood, on that projector, there is actually a light that I think will remove the shadow. I can have staff attorney assist you with that if you'd like.
That'd be great. Regular deposits into that account.
There's no regular deposits into this account. They're sporadic at times. They're coming in, monies are being transferred into this account from the 0377 account. But as far as having like a regular paycheck, having a direct deposit or something to that effect, there's nothing on like that on these accounts.
And just to clarify, this was at the jointly held account by Lori Vallow and Charles Vallow, correct?
Correct.
Detective, can you pull out what's been marked as State's Exhibit 63C?
Just to confirm, I am not sleeping. When I'm looking down at my phone, handling other business, it just looks like I'm sleeping.
What is that document?
I promise I'm not sleeping.
This is the signature card on the application for the account, joint account for Lori Vallow and Tylee Ryan, the account that ends in 3918.
And this is a Chase
Morgan
account. And can you pull out what's been marked as 63D? What is that?
This is a sampling of monthly statements from Tylee's account from January.
By the way, just real quick, my mom just texted me, and I saw some folks put it in the chat. Yes, Rex Hurman has an appearance today. We'll keep an eye out, and if anything comes up, there's any new evidence or anything comes out. Unfortunately, New York is not like Florida or any other place where you don't see anything. So if we hear anything, we'll let you guys know.
The second biggest head in the world, next to Chad.
2019 through, I believe, November of 2019 or October 2019.
Okay. And was there anything significant about this document to you in your investigation?
Yes, it shows Tylee is very active on this account. She is spending money with her. She is receiving death benefit stipends in this account from her father, Joe Ryan, who passed away April 3rd of 2018. So Tylee was receiving death benefits, and the death benefits were regularly deposited into this account. And Tylee was very active in this account.
When you say active,
Well, she was out spending money almost on a daily basis. She was going to convenience stores, gas stations, shopping centers, fast food.
and you stated this is the account she was receiving her Social Security payments in.
Correct.
And were those monthly?
They were. They appeared towards the end of the month. Since she first started receiving her benefits June 14th of 2018, and they were regularly occurring into this account.
And do you know how much she received?
In 2019, she was receiving $1,859 a month.
Detective, as you go through these records, are you able to tell the difference between what I'm going to call a brick and mortar payment or store, like a physical location, and online payments?
Yes. Kylie, the overwhelming majority of her spending habits occur in brick and mortar type establishments, and there are some online payments, but she's out spending money in physical places.
Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 63E? What is that document?
This is the partial monthly statement showing from August 23 of 2019 through September 3rd of 2019 for Tylee's 3918 Chase Morgan account.
And what is the significance of that document to your investigation?
Well, it still shows through August, she is out actively spending money. And it also shows towards the end of the month. We look up on the screen here. So she's really active coming through here. And then when you get towards the 1st of September, and these, I just want to make a clarification here on this outside row, that's the posting date. Inside on the statement, you'll see a date of 9/1. So it shows Tylee moving from Arizona, heading north, and this is the same time frame when they were moving to Idaho. And when you get down to the bottom of the page here, it shows that her last in-person use of a card was done in St. George, Utah on the 1st. There were 2 purchases at a McDonald's that day.
And is St. George between...
Dawn Burke giving out 5 law student memberships. Thank you, Dawn.
Dawn is such an always giver. Meg and Dawn are both amazing. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys.
Rexburg and Maricopa County.
Yes, I'm sorry for those that take it for granted. I'm sorry. St. George is one of the first cities you come to in Utah when you come up north out of Arizona as you're heading towards Idaho.
Was there any record of any money being deposited into that account after that date shown, the last date shown on that record?
No. So we had learned that in the middle of August, I believe it was August 16th, Lori Tylee's mom had contacted Social Security and had stopped having the monthly stipends deposited into Tylee's account. And she then switched those monies to be deposited in to her own personal account, Lori's personal account from the BBVA. So there were no more funds coming into this account at all.
Detective, can you look at what's been marked as State's Exhibit 63F? What is that document?
This is the checking summary for the date of September 20th, 2019 for Tylee's JP Chase account. And it's showing a $10.04 balance. And then it shows right underneath on the beginning balance, it has an electronic withdrawal for the same $10.04, bringing the ending balance to zero.
Does it show where that money was transferred to?
That money was transferred into Lori's 0769 account from the JP Chase.
Was there anything significant about that transaction to you in your investigation?
Yes, Tylee had no more control over her monies in this account. And with the timeline that we had learned in this investigation of Tylee's last known sighting was between September 8th and September 9th. Lori had closed out this account to, there's no more use for it.
Detective, can you look at what's been marked as State's Exhibit 63G? And what is that document?
This would be it's an online administration tool for people who bank with JP Chase Morgan. They're issued a personal identification number and they're allowed to go online and they can conduct their transactions. And this is the page that indicates for Lori Vallow. It sets up with her personal PIN number on Tylee's account. It shows that she can access Tylee's account.
And so did she and Tylee have separate identifying numbers?
They did.
Are they on that page?
They are. So if you look down to the middle of the page, well, we know it's Lori because she says Lori for style at iCloud.com right here. And it has Lori's name up here. But right here under personal ID and profile ID, it has a number. And the last four numbers on that are the 5132. So that's the number that's associated with Lori.
And is there a profile number for Tylee Ryan?
There is.
Can you point that out?
Hey, Jay, is Chad's head eclipsing the sun right now? He's really in the shadows over there.
Yes, I think it may be blocking
So,
it.
I mean, I think his
if you
head,
were to go two more pages into this document,
You don't need glasses if there's just stand behind Chad's head.
you'll see
you won't
Tylee's
see
name
gotta
is
catch
highlighted
you
up on
in
top, and it has
vain.
Tylee's email right there,
Huge head.
Tylee Ryan 24 at Gmail. And if you go down to the profile ID just underneath that, it has a number right here. And the last four on those are 0212.
And Detective, what's the significance of those identifying numbers? Does it aid you in your investigation to know those?
Sure, it's specific to the user. So we have a general idea that it's the person who's logging in is using it, and it leaves a digital footprint so you can see where they're going and what they're doing within the banking of their account.
So if Lori Vallow were to go online and make a change to that account, it would show that it was her by her identifying number. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And is the same accurate if Tylee Ryan were to go online and make a change? It would show her identifying number.
Yes.
Thank you.
If you were to go to the next page, this page here is dated September 20th. And as we previously spoke to the account closing on the 20th of September, if you look, if you could bring your, let's see. Okay, we're good. Right. No, bring it down just a little bit, please. There you go. Thank you. You'll see the profile ID number up here, the 5132, that's associated with Lori Vallow. And if you look to the bottom of the document, you'll see here on the left-hand side of the screen, you see the high school checking account belonging to Tylee, the 3918, and you see monies being transferred to, and here's the $10.04 that just shows that Lori went in and accessed Tylee's account and then moved monies over into her 0769 account, making it a zero balance.
And so just to clarify, Detective, you're able to verify that
Definitely
it was
the line
Lori
name.
that made that transaction by that identifying number.
Correct.
All right.
What's up, Bob?
Amy posted the correct line from So I Married an Axe Murderer regarding the gargantuan cranium. He cries on his enormous pillow. Great shit.
And
Jay,
what
I
was
think
that
you
date
need to get
again?
a couple of those,
September 20th
sound
of
bites.
2019.
I was just looking, Bob, as
Detective, can you look
see
at what's
what's
been
happening.
marked as State's Exhibit 63H?
This is a checking summary showing a zero balance on Tylee Ryan's 3918 JP Chase Bank.
And what's the date on that? Or I should say, is there a date on that?
I'm not seeing a date on it, but it would be for anything after September 20th.
All right. And can you look at what's been marked as State's Exhibit 63I?
I is a signature card application page for JP Chase Morgan account for Charles Vallow and Lori Vallow for the 0377 account.
And did you obtain that through a warrant or subpoena?
I did.
Did you provide that to any other law enforcement agency to review?
I did. I have some knowledge of this account, but the primary reviewer of this account was Michael Douglas, FBI forensic accountant.
All right.
Antron's in the house. What's up, man?
What up, Antron? I do have this sound effect, which I think you'll like. Here we go.
Shit, yeah, we got to get paid.
Detective, can you look at what's
Was that
been
too
marked
low?
as State's
Someone said
Exhibit
the other one was too
64A?
loud.
That was pretty low.
All right, let me try.
Oh, bailiff, I apologize. This was the first page to 63.
Shit, yeah, we got to get paid.
How to get some Jay and Silent Bob on there.
Got to, man. Shit, yeah.
I wanted to get I got to try to find the, like, when he's like, Noids.
And Your Honor, I would just note
That's
for the
like
record
best.
that State's Exhibit 64 is a business records affidavit, and that this document has subparts 64A through C. And to the state's understanding, this document comes in by way of stipulation.
All right, so 64 is admitted and 64 A, B, and C are also all admitted.
All right.
And they may be published, Mr. Wood.
Thank you.
Here's another good one.
Detective, what are the documents from State's excuse me, Exhibit 64.
Are you my Caucasian?
These are summary of accounts
Oh, so good.
for the BBVA Compass account ending in 3229 for Lori Vallow. It's a checking account that was opened in October of 2018.
Is Lori Vallow the sole user on this account?
She is.
And I believe you just said it was opened in October of 2018?
Correct. I believe the 20th.
And did you obtain this through a search warrant or through a subpoena?
I did.
And what was the significance of this account to your investigation?
Well, we learned through this account that this would be one of Lori's main accounts where she would be receiving future Social Security monies. We know that Tally's monthly stipend was being deposited into this account and would later receive stipends for death benefits for Charles Vallow as well, for both her and JJ.
And can you look at 64B? And what is that?
This is a sample portion of monthly statements for Lori's 3229 BBVA account from August of 2019 through, I believe, January of 2020.
Hey, Jay, pause it for a second.
Detective, I want to call your...
So this is obviously very dry, boring testimony, and this is obviously going to the fraud charge, and in the sense that they've got to get it out of the way. I appreciate that they're doing this earlier in the state's case in chief rather than later, because they kind of focus. They did it the opposite with Lori, where you don't want to lose steam. Towards the end of the case, you want to end it with a bang. So while this is very, like I said, dry testimony and doesn't, really kind of get to the heart of the case, it's something they got to get out there. I'm still waiting, however, to see the connection to Chad. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like we're hearing a lot about Lori. We need to hear Chad using the money. We need to hear Chad had access to the funds, that Chad had knowledge, that obviously that, because that's one of the problems that we have with the thing where Pryor's going to be coming and saying, okay, well, Chad was just buying what Lori was selling, that the kids were fine, when they're in Hawaii. And like, we've got to see the state start chipping away in the ways that they can, primarily with text messaging and emails and things like that. It's going to be from that world where they're going to be able to show knowledge on the part of Chad. So hopefully we're going to get to see that. Like as far as this particular count, I haven't seen the evidence that you'd want to see to hang this on him at that point. But I do appreciate that they're kind of getting this out of the way now, because when they start getting into the more serious charges, I just want to see them focusing on that completely and not like cramming this. Like, can you imagine like putting Melanie Gibb on and Zulema, and then they're like, and then they change course and go to this. It's like
Right.
You lose all that momentum that you have. So, and you and I are both baseball fans, football fans. Like I believe momentum is a real thing. And so I think this is properly placed in the state's case in chief.
Absolutely. I talk about it all the time. Just there's a strategy behind like calling the witnesses. Like you don't want to rest your case to go to Pryor starting his case with this man who's making the jury fall asleep. You want a Melanie Gibb or a Zulema, or perhaps like a one of those witnesses like I was talking about in Murdoch, where they just do a time limit where it's boom, boom.
Yep.
Like you want them that on their mind, not this guy who like me probably zoned out half the time because it's like I don't know what the fuck. Like I mean, I'm sure that their jury, hopefully they're paying attention. But anyway, so we'll see.
And I just wanted to throw something in. A friend of the show been boots on the ground there, and I just wanted to tell you what her evaluation sitting in the courtroom of Pryor has been. And it's very, very similar to yours, Jay. So, and she's seeing it firsthand.
This is Lori Hellis?
No, it's a different
okay.
friend of the show.
Okay.
Who likes to remain anonymous, so I always respect that. They said that Pryor is not sensitive to ensuring people like him. He is the most condescending ass on the planet.
Ooh, I like this person.
Yeah, he took digs at Lindsey Blake during War Dyer, and he is so unlikable and is absolutely ignorant to it. The jury is not loving him. Any points he is getting, he is losing because of himself. The looks of disgust on their faces talking about the jury.
Wow.
And he is so focused on making his point that he isn't seeing that he is losing them. So that's some boots on the ground, eyes on the jury to see how they're reacting, which, as we all know, they're the only ones that matter, but they are getting the same vibe that you and many of our subs are getting off of Pryor. So there you go.
Well, thank you, boots on the ground. And, to your point, Bob, you talk about all the time being a sole practitioner, being by himself and like just getting all the stuff together. But at the same time, he doesn't have someone at the table to be like you had Allie or someone else. He doesn't have anyone at the table like, hey, man, like, and if he's completely unaware of it because he's like,
yes,
he thinks he's the greatest, he's not going to change. And if the jury is giving him, no one's telling him that.
That's such a great point, dude. Because like if Allie is directing or crossing, and like I'm typically eyes on the jury, I'm trying to determine whether or not things are hitting home the best that I can by reading body language. And if I notice something, if I think that something's resonating, or if I think that something's not working and the jury's nodding off or whatever the case might be, I'll always let her know, and vice versa. So that's a great observation, Jay.
Thank you.
Your attention to a deposit made on August 28th. Can you see that?
And by the way, for folks who don't know, I worked for like almost 20 years. I was an examiner, so like I've been in courtrooms. It's hard to read a jury, but if you see a jury is like making like it's hard, like, but like if you could see them making faces, like that's really because they usually are kind of stone faced. But if they're like really making some sort of face, you're doing something wrong. If they're making a bad face, or something right. If they're like, oh, not in their head, or just like, oh yeah, like that makes sense, so.
I can.
What was that deposit? And if you can use a pointer to point it out to the jury.
So just below mid-page on the screen here, we see a credit for Social Security Treasury deposit for $1,859. This account this deposit is associated to Tylee Ryan. And we know from when multiple deposits are made into a banking account from Social Security, so if there's more than one person receiving monies, they're given special identifiers so you can see which deposits belong to which person. So if we look here at Tylee's, you see the reference and it has the X's, and then we see the 4121C1. So the 4121 is the last four numbers of Joe Ryan's Social Security number. His Social Security number is 146604121. And then the C1 is just it's a designated.
Rachel from Bob Chat says, I can't believe there are only 160 people in here. I love watching and having attorney commentary. Folks, if you're enjoying this, tell your friends. If you're like in a Facebook group like True Crime or Twitter, like we appreciate you letting folks know. We think we have a good thing here. So if there's folks that aren't aware, let them know. Tell them.
Please, that's tell your neighbors, tell your friends.
Yeah, we don't have an advertising budget, folks. So
that's right.
You guys are our word of mouth. So we appreciate anyone you
guys
tell.
are our army, and
yeah, exactly.
We love you for it. We love you for
it. Identifier for child. So it'd be Tylee being a child, a minor under 18, receiving death benefits from her biological father.
And that was the Joe Ryan.
Joe Ryan, correct.
Who You testified was deceased.
He was deceased. He died on April 3rd in 2018.
And so that's how you're able to identify that payment is assigned to Tylee Ryan, even though it's going into Lori Ballow's account at this point.
Correct.
And from your investigation, is this the first deposit of Social Security benefits for Tylee Ryan into this account?
Yes, this is the first deposit.
And where was Tylee Ryan receiving her Social Security benefits before that?
As stated, she was previously receiving them in her JP Chase account, which her mother has since closed out.
And again, what was the date of that deposit?
This was on August 28th of 2019.
And was there anything significant about that to you, about that date?
We learned that our investigation, we believe that Tylee was killed 10 days later.
I'm going to call your attention to a deposit made. It's on the third page of that document.
Bob, something occurred to me, and I guess I'll ask both the chats what they think. Sometimes I've done this on other trials I filed. When we get behind, sometimes on like stuff that's like fraud or like not great, I could put it on like 1.5 or 1.25 to kind of speed it up. You guys, let me know what you think.
I'm all about it.
Made on September 18th.
Me too, but I don't want. Yeah, so
right. We'll leave it to the people, though.
Let's see what the people think.
Yep.
Are you able to locate that?
I am.
Can you, with your pointer, identify the deposits made on September 18th?
Yes, so there's two deposits made on that day. One in the amount of $3,902 and the second for $4,157.
Chad, qualify that as
here
a
towards
landslide.
the bottom of the
I
page
think so.
right here. They were deposits from the Social Security Administration, Treasury Department. As you see the X's here, you have a different last four number, the 9801, and then you have a C1. And then on the next line down, you have the 9801E. So we can differentiate what deposit belongs to by looking at this top one here. We have the 9801. So Charles Ballow's Social Security number was 436029801. And we see the C1, so that would be for JJ. And that's the monies that were received. So we have and the next one down, we know it's for Lori because we have the 9801, but the letter E is just an identifier saying that she is the child in care or the guardian.
All right. And are those amounts, are those the regular monthly payments?
These are not. These are the initial installments that she received back pay for both when she generated her paperwork back in August.
And Detective, was there anything significant about that deposit date to you?
Yes.
What is that?
JJ was killed a few days later, around the 22nd or 23rd.
Detective, you mentioned earlier that this account, this BBVA account, ending in 3229, received from August on all of the Social Security payments.
Yes.
And did you review this document for those payments?
I did.
Detective, did you prepare a demonstrative chart that shows all of Tylee Ryan's Social Security deposits?
I did.
Does that include both the JP Morgan account and BBVA account payments?
Yes.
Did you do that to aid this jury in understanding where and when those payments were made?
Yes.
Does it label the banks to which the deposits were made?
It does.
Did you prepare that in anticipation of testifying today?
I did.
Do you believe it would aid the jury in understanding the deposit history for Tylee Ryan's Social Security?
Yes.
Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 84? Is that the document that we have been speaking about?
Yes.
And is that a true and accurate representation of the demonstrative chart you created?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask that for demonstrative purposes that State's Exhibit 84 be entered into evidence.
Any objection? All right, Exhibit 84 is admitted.
May I publish?
You may.
Detective, can you walk the jury through that chart?
Sure. This chart depicts Tylee Ryan's Social Security benefits. It's the history of her timeline. So they're up in the upper left-hand corner, there's three different colors on this legend. So the first one, the purple colored Social Security benefit was deposited into the joint JP Chase Morgan. So this was Tylee's first account, the 3918. And then we have on the second one, we have the benefit amount deposited into Lori's own personal account after we believe Tylee was killed. And then we have one that has some hash marks on it, and that shows that it was deposited for that month. But since Tylee was alive, we discount both those months, but they're just showing that deposits were made.
All right. And are there other dates on that chart?
Yeah, so on the first line, we have the date of 4/3/18. That's when Joe Ryan, Tylee's father, died. And then Tylee begins receiving benefits on the 14th of June. You see the large sum there. It's for her back pay, for lack of a better analysis. And then she starts receiving regular deposits of $1,800. And then when 2019 comes around, she gets a percentage increase. So that's why it's at $1,859. And then as we go towards the end of the middle, we see on the screen here on July 11th of 2019, this is the day that Charles Vallow was killed. And then the deposits keep going. And then on the 12th, Lori contacted the Social Security Administration to change Tylee's benefits. I think earlier I stated the 16th, but it was the 12th, so I stand corrected on that. The deposits for Tylee into the BBVA account now, since she's no longer receiving them in the JP Morgan. And you see here on the 8th, that's the last proof of life we have for Tylee. We have nothing in our investigation has shown that she is living after this date. And then after, for the month of October, Lori's receiving Tylee's benefits directly into her personal account. And then as you see here on the bottom line here, on June 9th, we find Tylee at the defendant Chad Daybell's property.
Detective, similar to that chart, did you make a chart for JJ Vallow's survivor benefits and Lori Vallow's mother, child, and care benefits?
I did.
Did you make that in preparation for testifying today?
Yes.
And did you rely on the banking documents that you reviewed in making that chart?
Yes.
Can you look at States Exhibit 85? Is States Exhibit 85 the document, the chart for JJ we've been speaking of?
Yes.
And did you create that in anticipation of testifying before the jury?
Yes.
Do you believe it would aid the jury in understanding these financial transactions?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would ask that for demonstrative purposes only that States Exhibit 85 be entered into evidence.
Very well. No objection. So Exhibit 85 is admitted.
And may I publish?
You may.
Detective, can you describe how you made that chart?
Yes, this is a chart depicting JJ's and Lori's, or JJ's Social Security benefits that are going into Lori's BBVA account. Again, the legend on the upper left shows the benefit amount deposited for JJ. Underneath that, you see the color for the amount deposited for Lori. And then the hash mark box shows, but it's not included in the total amount deposit because we believe JJ was alive for that month. So as we go through the chart here, as stated in July of 2011, July 11th of 2019, Charles Vallow was killed in Arizona. Lori applies for benefits in August and starts receiving benefits in September. And this is their first deposit. And as stated earlier, this is not their regular deposit. It's for the back pay when she generated her paperwork to receive the benefits. And then very next box we see on 9/23, that's our last proof of life for JJ. And then you see the benefits being deposited in. They each were receiving $1,951 per month. So they received for September and then October. And then you look here on the last one, and then November 5th, this date is important to the investigation because that's the day that Lori Vallow became Mrs. Daybell and married Chad in Hawaii. JJ is still receiving benefits, as is Lori, all the way through to the end of the year and into January. And then the last box, we have the 9th when we found JJ on Mr. Daybell's property.
And Detective, all of those Social Security payments, was it your testimony, those went into Lori's sole BBVA account?
Correct. She had full control over it.
Detective, can you review pull out States Exhibit 65? And Your Honor, while he does that, States 65, the Exhibit 65 itself is a business record affidavit with subparts A through D, where this has a business record affidavit. States understand.
What's up?
I think my dog just farted, dude.
Oh no,
man, dude. Like, does anybody else think that like dog farts like take like 90-degree turns in the air. It's weird. They don't permeate an area. They come in like guided missiles. It's so weird. So weird, man. So weird. I wish I could like see them, see what movements they make, but I digress.
And by way of stipulation.
Mr. Pryor, any objection to 65 and subparts A through D? All right, there is no objection then. Exhibit 65, the electronic business records affidavit is admitted. Exhibits 65A through D are also admitted.
Thank you. Detective, what is State's Exhibit 65 in general?
The entire exhibit is dealing with Tally Ryan's joint account that her mother opened for both of them to share for the BBVA, and they did that in August 19th of 2019.
All right. And when you look specifically at 65A, are you familiar with that?
Yes.
What is that document?
This is a summary of accounts. It's the signature page for the application for the account of Tally Ryan that ends in the last four numbers of 5794. And both her and Lori are signers on it.
All right. And that's through BBVA?
Correct.
When was this account opened?
The 19th of August, 2019.
Can you look at State's Exhibit 65B? What is that?
This is a transaction history monthly statement of activity on Tally's account for the BBVA.
And in your investigation, was there anything significant about this document?
Yeah, two things. So one, that Tally was not receiving any more deposits into this account from Social Security where she was in JP Chase Morgan. So any deposits that come into this account are now coming from her mother through transactions within the bank. This particular page we see was created on 8/19, and for the first couple of days, as they are, traveling from Arizona on their move to Idaho, you see again where out here we have the date of the transaction, but after these post dates of 9/3, it just shows that this card was used in person only 3 times, and that was during their move from Arizona to Idaho. They were at 3 different places. One was in Fillmore, Utah, which is in southern Utah, and it was used at a convenience store. There was one that was used at a Maverick in Perry, Utah. Again, I believe that's still southern Utah. And then there was one that was used in the Wickiup, Arizona. I'm not familiar with geographically where that city is located in Arizona, but it was used on that date. And from there, everything else that we learned with this account was done online, with the exception of 2 more dates, one in September and one in October.
All right. Can you look at State's Exhibit 65C? And what is that document?
This is transaction history for Tylee's account, the 5794 BBVA from August 2019, I believe, through November of 2019. I'm sorry, it goes through January of 2020.
Okay. And earlier we spoke about on Tylee's JP Chase Morgan account about spending between brick and mortar stores and online payments. What's the general nature on this account?
This activity is completely opposite of what Tylee was using on her JP Chase account. All the activity on this account is done online, with the exception of 2 dates. And you'll see on, I believe, September 17th, there was a transaction where it was used in person at a Costa Vida Mexican restaurant. And then there was another in-person transaction on October 25th, I believe. That was, October 7th. And we believe that Tylee did not make those purchases in person.
In the mic, please, Mr. Pryor.
Judge, I'm going to object to that characterization. It calls for speculation.
I'll sustain the last part of the response there, striking the belief Tylee did not make the purchases in person. There's no foundation for that, Mr. Wood.
All right, I'll lay some foundation. Thank you. Detective, through your investigation in this case, were you involved in the search for Tylee Ryan?
Yes.
And are you aware of, through that search, of a last known sighting of Tylee Ryan?
Last known sighting of Tylee Ryan, I believe, was a photograph where she was in Yellowstone on the 8th of September, 2019.
And so these purchases that were made after that date, what was significant about those to you in this investigation?
just complete opposite of anything that Tylee was doing up until this point. Everything is done online in this account. The monies are coming in from Lori's account to her personal account. She would send money, make deposits into Tylee's account, and then those monies would immediately be Venmoed out to, we learned, Colby Ryan, who is Lori's son.
And you spoke about two brick and mortar purchases,
Yes,
and I believe you said they were both at Costa Vida.
they're both at Costa Vida.
And ask you to look at States Exhibit 65D.
Okay.
And what is States Exhibit 65D?
The exhibit is a copy of the receipt that I obtained for a purchase with Tylee's account on the 17th of September of 2019.
Right.
It was an in-person purchase.
And on the third page of States Exhibit 65D, what is that?
This is a Costa Vida receipt dated October 7th, 2019, that was used with Tylee's card associated with this account for an in-person purchase.
Tylee, in that BBVA account, she never received Social Security payments there.
No.
Detective, can you look at States Exhibit 66? Do you recognize States Exhibit 66?
This is a affidavit of business records for Barclays Bank.
Okay. And Your Honor, for the record, this exhibit does come in with a business records affidavit. It has subparts A through D. And with that business record, I believe it comes in by way of stipulation.
As to Exhibit 66, any objection?
And again, Judge, that was an agreement prior that this would be admitted by stipulation of the parties.
Okay, Exhibit 66 has been offered and is admitted, as well as the subparts 66A through D.
Thank you. Detective, do you recognize States Exhibit 66A?
This is a Barclay Bank application for credit card. And it is in the name of Lori Vallow.
All right, is anyone else's name on there?
No.
All right. Do you know when this was applied for?
The application date was September 24th of 2015.
And can you look at application 524-71125?
This is the application for Barclays Bank credit card for Charles Vallow. And the application date is the same as the previous.
All right, thank you. And then application 5566-2600, what is that?
This is a Barclays Bank application for a credit card in the name of Lori Vallow. The application date was April 19th of 2016.
So this was a joint credit card application, is that fair to say?
Yes.
Can you look at States Exhibit 66B? What is that?
This is a monthly statement of transactions activity for the Barclays credit card belonging to Lori and Charles Vallow.
In your investigation, was there anything significant about the information you found on this page?
Yes, two things stand out. On the second line down for June 12th, we see a credit card payment to Valley of the Sun Mortuary in Chandler, Arizona. And this is the day after, if you recall, Charles Vallow was killed on July 11th of 2019. And the second date is all down to the bottom of the page here. So on July 20th, we see an airline ticket purchase for Legion Air in the name of Chad Daybell. And the airfare was round trip from Provo, Utah. The PBU is the acronym for Provo. And the IWA is Phoenix Mesa. And then round trip back to Provo. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You see on this page here too that you have purchase activity for Charles Vallow, and there is no transaction activity in July. And then you see that this card used by Lori Vallow that was issued to her was responsible for these transactions.
All right. And so the transaction for the payment for airfare for Chad Daybell was what date?
On July 21st, it was the purchase date. The July 20th was the post date.
And to your knowledge and investigation, was Chad Daybell married to Tammy Daybell at the time
He was.
that was purchased? Yep. Can you look at States Exhibit 66C? And what is that document?
I have a Barclays MasterCard in the name of Alex Cox, and this is a monthly statement of transaction activity for this account.
And you had mentioned earlier that Alex had an account that he shared with his sister Lori. Is this that account?
It is.
How do you know that they shared it?
They each were assigned separate cards.
All right. Can you describe Or is there anything else of significance on this document to your investigation?
Yes, we have, at the bottom of the page, we have airfare for Lori Vallow flying from Phoenix Mesa to Idaho Falls on a round trip, and that would be on February 25th.
And is the Idaho Falls Airport the nearest airport to Chad Daybell's residence?
Yes.
Was there anything else of note on this page or this document?
No, on the next page.
Okay.
On this page, you're seeing
look at you,
purchases
you
in the month
remembered,
of
Bob.
March
Good
on
job.
the Alexander Cox Lori Vallow shared credit card account.
Did
You see
Jay.
purchase activity for
So
Lori,
proud of
and you see her
myself.
card that ends in the number
Welcome, new
5259.
members.
There are 3 purchases that she makes on this account that show that she bought airfare for Tylee Ryan and Tylee's friend Brianna Gill. And those purchases were made on March 13th, and they were round trip from Phoenix to LIH, which is, I believe it's pronounced Lahui, Hawaii, on the island of Kauai. And then directly under that, for March 14th, you see Lori using her card to pay for airfare for Chad Daybell, flying from Idaho Falls round trip to Phoenix Mesa and back to Idaho Falls.
And that was March 14th of
2019.
And so Charles Vallow was still alive at that point, to your knowledge, correct?
Correct.
Did you find any indication that Charles Vallow had a card on this account?
He did not.
Madam Detective, would you look at State's Exhibit 66D?
Yeah, folks, YouTube was definitely having trouble last night. I know during Steve's live. So like,
yeah, what was going on with that? I got into Steve's live so late, and I saw like what was happening.
I don't know. Like I got into, I was there, I left, I came back, and then it was like, there's only 2 people. It was like 1 viewer. I'm like, that's
What?
weird. And then I saw other people tweeting that like there were complete issues. I see Shelly in the chat saying it looked like she was blocked. So like today, if there's like issues with you, like I think chat is freezing, and like if you can't we're try refreshing, I would say. But if there's like it's not anything we're doing if you can't comment or
Are people still having issues today?
I don't think so as far as viewers, but I saw Dizzy say like her chat froze, so I don't know if
really?
I don't know if that's like a local, if that was her. I think someone else agreed. So just if that happens, guys, just refresh and hopefully it'll fix it for you.
And remember,
What is that document?
we love you.
This is
Yes, we do very much. Couldn't do this without you guys.
the application for a Barclays credit card in the name of Alex Cox, dated 9/26 of 2016.
And was this associated with the account we were just speaking of?
Yes.
Is there anything of note on that document to your investigation?
I'm sorry, just this particular page.
Just in that document, is it just the
It's just the account information for
information?
for Alex. Yes.
Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 67?
Sorry.
Oh, so Your Honor, this Exhibit 67 has one subpart, just 67A, and it is Exhibit 67 is a business record affidavit. So I believe this comes in by way of stipulation.
All right,
That's correct.
very well. By stipulation, the parties Exhibit 67 and Exhibit 67A are both admitted.
All right. Detective, are you familiar with State's Exhibit 67A?
I have some knowledge of it. And it's the account from First Hawaiian Bank for Lori Vallow.
And did you receive this through a warrant or subpoena?
I did.
Did you review this?
I was not the primary reviewer of this.
Did you provide this to another agency to review?
I did. I provided it to forensic accountant Michael Douglas of the FBI.
All right. Can you look at State's Exhibit 68? Do you have that?
Yes.
What is that?
This is a business record affidavit associated with Chrysler Capital Finance Company.
And Your Honor, this, again, State's Exhibit 68 is a business records affidavit, has one subpart 68A. I believe this comes in by way of stipulation.
That's correct, Judge.
All right, Exhibit 68 and 68A are both admitted.
Detective, are you familiar with State's Exhibit 68
I am.
or 68A?
Yes.
What is it?
This is a application for credit through Chrysler Financial for purchase. Charles Vallow made of a 2018 Jeep Wrangler that was associated with Tylee Ryan.
And are you familiar with the search for a Jeep in Rexburg, Idaho?
I am.
Is this that same Jeep?
It is.
Right. Is there anything else in that document of note to your investigation?
Yes, that the payments would be made on automatic withdrawals through the account of Tylee Ryan's JP Chase account, the 3918 that she had her. This is the account that had the stipends deposited into when she first opened that account.
Okay. Thank you. Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 82? And Your Honor, again, 82 is an affidavit of a records custodian. Has one subpart 82A. I believe it comes in by way of stipulation.
That is correct, Judge.
Okay, Exhibit 82 and Exhibit 82A are both admitted.
Detective, what is the document found in State's Exhibit 82A?
The document is a rental application in the name of Lori Vallow for 565 Pioneer Road, number 107, the Rock Creek Townhomes in Rexburg, Idaho.
And have you reviewed this document?
I have.
Was there anything of note to your investigation on that document?
Yes, it shows that Lori did move from Arizona to Rexburg, and it shows that she is listed both JJ and Tylee to be living with her. And on the second page, you see here that.
If you're going to point something out, if you
Yes.
can point it with a.
Sorry. So her monthly rent from her previous residence in Arizona, she stated the reason for leaving. Lori writes, she is bringing children to attend BYUI. My daughter graduated high school at 16 and wants to attend BYUI, but is too young to live alone, so I'm coming with her and relocating.
Okay.
And then below that, you see, as far as her income, she lists Social Security. So all of the Social Security benefits, Lori's claiming just as her sole income.
And was there an amount that she gave for that?
There was. So there's $5,740. And if you combine all three deposits, the one for Lori, the one for JJ and Tylee's, it arrives at this amount right here.
Thank you. Detective, we've been talking about Lori Vallow and Tylee Ryan's financial accounts. Did you review any other financial accounts as part of your investigation?
I did.
What other financial accounts did you review?
Reviewed the financial information for Alex Cox, Lori Vallow's brother.
Right. Earlier, you showed a document listing out Lori Vallow and Tylee Ryan's different accounts that you had prepared for demonstrative purposes. Did you prepare a similar account for Alex Cox's financial documents?
I did.
Did you do that to aid the jury in understanding which documents or which financial documents pertain to Alex Cox?
Yes.
And did you do that in preparation for your testimony?
Meg P says I don't get notified three-fourths of the time, so I have to go look. That's why I am late a lot to the lives. I just shared in my chat, and if Ahmad could share it in Bob's chat, Dizzy and Tracy have an amazing Discord, and you don't even have to have the app. You could just have it locally, on your computer. But if I go live, if Bob goes live, Steve, all the channels that are in our group, you get a notification. So I get it. YouTube doesn't give me notifications either, folks. So, Bob, you're muted.
Jay, somebody said that when we start late, that YouTube populates a different start time. So
what?
For me, yeah, somebody said that it went from when we started a couple minutes late before we hit the live button, that it changed it to 10 p.m. on my channel. So I don't know.
Yeah, YouTube is out of control. I don't know what their deal is, but definitely check out that Discord to get those.
Yeah, and the added bonus for Dizzy and Tracy's Discord is any legal document you want from basically any case that's currently going, whether it be in trial or not, or pre-trial phase. They've got everything there. It's my favorite Discord because it's just got Dizzy and Tracy just are working themselves to death. I don't know when Dizzy sleeps.
I don't think she does.
I mean, I really don't. She it's such an amazing Discord. So Diz, make sure you're throwing that up in there. Oh, she did.
Double added bonus, when me and Bob aren't live, it's just a cool place for folks to chat. It's basically a fancy chat room, but it has like all the documents, all in order. So check it out, folks.
Dr. Bullbutter, no, I had read in the chat that Pryor had some issues. I actually
Mandy
tried to Google it.
Mandy has it. Mandy, if you have it, I know Mandy has been talking about it.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's got some essay. I think it was pled down, but he was guilty of something. I'm pretty sure. If someone
Really?
has Pryor's what he was found guilty of or what the charges was, let us know.
Wow, yeah.
I
'Cause
did.
I
Can you look at
looked
State's
and I
Exhibit
couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
69?
Oh, DV.
I mean, that's not good, but it's
Is this the
better
same
than
demonstrative
SA.
list that you've been speaking about?
Yes.
Your Honor, for demonstrative purposes only, I'd ask the State's, or is this a true and accurate representation of the list you created?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask that for demonstrative purposes only, that State's Exhibit 69 be entered into evidence.
There won't be an objection, Judge.
Okay, without objection, then Exhibit 69 is admitted.
May I publish?
You may.
Detective, can you describe for the jury what is on State's Exhibit 69?
So this is a financial account attribution list I created for Alex Cox as we were looking into the whereabouts of JJ and Tylee. We went through Alex's financial information, and this is information that we narrowed down through reviews that are pertinent to the investigation. So you see here, the first one is the Desert Financial Credit Union. This was Alex's everyday account. He was receiving paychecks on a regular basis. He was very responsible in his account and his spending. He had a fairly decent, well, decent for me at least, I'm sorry, but for as far as his account balance. So he was not reckless in any way in this account. You see the joint credit card that we just spoke to with Lori, and these are the cards that were associated with that. Alex also had a Mercury MasterCard, and he had a personal account from Wells Fargo, and from that he had 2 cards on Capital One credit cards. And then towards the end, after they moved to Idaho, he ended up opening up a account at the Mountain America Credit Union.
There it is, Bob Tizzy says he asked for S favors in return for legal services. He pled guilty to a misdemeanor.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you didn't know, folks, now you know.
Wow.
Rexburg.
Thank you. Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 70? And Your Honor, again, State's Exhibit 70 is an affidavit of a custodian of records. State's Exhibit 70 has 2 subparts, A and B. I believe it comes in by way of stipulation.
Any objection to the admission of 70 and 70A and B?
No, Judge, comes in by way of stipulation of the parties.
All right. Exhibit 70 as well as 70A and B are all admitted.
Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 70A? And are you familiar with that document?
I am.
What is it?
It's a consumer loan application for a 2017 Ford F-150 pickup truck that in the name of Alex Cox.
And did you review these documents as part of your investigation?
I have knowledge of them, but I was not the primary reviewer of those.
Okay. Did you provide those to another agency?
Yes. There is a second account that I did review on the next page, and it's a checking account application, then account ending 7175 for Alex Cox, and that's his main everyday account. And I reviewed those documents.
For folks who are asking, we were talking about John Pryor. Sorry.
All right. Was there anything of note to you in that?
Yes. So, as I stated earlier, Alex was very responsible, and he was very busy on this account. It appeared to be his everyday account, and he was making payments to his credit cards out of this account as well.
All right. Did those payments ever stop?
The payments did stop. So from this account, we learned that Alex had quit his job when he moved to Idaho. He was working for Heritage Environmental in Arizona, and he was receiving 2 to 3 paychecks a month. And at the end of August and beginning of September, he had quit that job and moved to Idaho. Just before he quit his job, he received a loan in the amount of $21,000 in August. I believe it was August 8th. And from then on, he had no income, no regular income, as he was not employed that we could tell.
All right. Is there anything of significance in terms of purchase history in these documents?
Yes, Alex begins to, in August, begins purchasing firearms and firearms-related items with this account and the credit cards.
And you said in August. What year was that?
That's 2019.
All right. And is that purchase history different from the rest of this account?
Sorry, I don't understand your question.
The purchase history of firearms, is that something consistent through that account or just starting in August?
It just started in and around August.
You mentioned that he received a loan.
Yes.
Was there a reason listed for that?
Yes, on the loan application, it listed for medical reasons.
All right. And the amount of the loan was $21,000?
$21,000 that he received, yes.
Throughout your investigation, did you find any significant medical expenditures in his financial documents between the time of that loan and the time he died in December?
No.
All right. Can you look at State's Exhibit 70B? What is
From dated 70B is just a list of monthly statements dated from 2/21 of 2019. Through November of 2019.
and is that
BJ.
were those the documents you were relying on for
Let's give
your last
so I was-
most recent
I was-
testimony?
Yes.
Pause
sorry.
real-
Go
I
ahead.
was texting with Joey Jackalone, our boy. You know, he's obviously all over Rex Huerman. So the update, not much happened today. It was a very brief hearing. He said it was all related to this just discovery issues. Lawyers weren't talking of anything of substance, and that they just gave him a new date in June. So that is the Rex Huerman update. Joe referred to it as a nothing burger hearing, not even worthy of a short.
All right, nice. I just if you're not familiar with Joe, I just shared his channel. Check him out. Also, Raul Catchlisk. If you want, the info on Rex Sherman, Long Island serial killer, two great accounts to check
Yeah,
out.
and Raul and Jessica for Justice have a
Yes.
great new channel too. You guys make sure you're checking that out. And we love you, Joe. Thank you for the update, brother.
Thanks, Joe. Looks like we're close to coming up to a break here.
Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 71? And Your Honor, State's Exhibit 71 comes in by way of custodian of records affidavit, so I believe it's stipulated to, and just has one subpart A.
Any objection to the admission of 71 and 71A?
No, Judge.
Very well. 71 and 71A are both admitted.
Detective, do you recognize State's Exhibit 71?
Yes, it's the custodian of records.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you look at State's Exhibit 71A?
Yes, this is the loan application for through Lending Club for the $21,000 loan. For Alice.
And was this the loan we were talking about for medical expenditures?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I have a brief sidebar?
Yes.
Somebody wants to go outside.
I got a delivery. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm surprised our guy's not going nuts. We got people doing some tree trimming outside for our overgrown pin oaks out there. Yeah, I don't know, Dave. That was a real weird thing with the Happy Face Killer and Rex, the ogre, sending love notes to one another about prison food. Weird stuff. Yeah, Kaylin, I'm pretty good at babysitting now. I can definitely baby. Oh, yeah, looks like we're coming to a break. Nanook, it's our guy. That is our guy. So yeah, looks like we might have a nice little breaky poo, the morning break. Usually go 10, 12 minutes on that break. So what do you guys think? Got a lot of the financial stuff out of the way here with this witness. Are you guys feeling like they were able to sufficiently connect it to Chad?
What do we got a break?
Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, the witness stood up. The judge is off the bench.
Oh, he's coming. Let's see.
Just discussed some.
Oh, maybe they had a sidebar.
All right, counsel, we just discussed some scheduling there. We are going to take a mid-morning break at this time. That'll be a 30-minute break. We'll come back on and continue until noon, and we'll plan on taking our hour lunch at noon. And then as regular schedule, mid-afternoon break after that, go till 3:30 today will be our schedule moving forward. So at this time, we will take our mid-morning break.
All right, please.
Half-hour break there, Jaybird.
That's what they do there, man. Usually it's 15, not them. They have their own agenda.
Yeah.
Well, Bob, while They're on a break here. I know you got a show tonight. Why don't you tell? I already got the portal set up to go there. What's going on tonight?
Yeah, I'm excited, man. So when I got in the podcast industry, and Jay and Shans are both going to be attending the True Crime Podcast Festival in Denver in July of this year. If you guys have not gotten tickets and you're in the area, or you're looking to make a nice little summer trip to talk some true crime with a ton of your favorite creators, that's the spot for sure. But when we kind of got into the podcast game 3 years ago, it's crazy that it's been that long. The first thing we went to, the first event that I wanted to go to, was Laney's True Crime Podcast Festival, and that happened to be kind of the first thing that I did post pandemic shutdown. So that was the first thing that we kind of went to, kind of got out there. And at that particular podcast festival, that is when we met so many of our dear friends in the industry. And that includes the two amazing hosts from the incredible OG podcast that was really probably one of the first things, after Serial, the first thing that I started listening to pretty religiously was Generation Y podcast. And so that's with Justin and Aaron, and Aaron Habel is going to be on with me tonight. I'm super excited to have them. And when I say OG, that podcast in terms of true crime, and I'm talking about Generation Y, is really the first true crime podcast that ever existed. So these guys are the godfathers of podcasting as far as true crime goes. And they're both brilliant guys. They're super insightful. And so tonight, we're going to have Aaron on. And, I was chatting with him yesterday. I'm like, what do you want to get into? And, he wants to kind of get into all of it. We're going to talk a lot about, lawyers' roles in cases, and they're big on, covering cases from a very objective perspective. And, if they see issues on the prosecution side, they call it. If they see issues on the defense side, they call it. So they're very, very even-handed and super insightful. And they really dig into cases. And it's a great, great podcast. If you guys don't listen to it, you should. And if you want to talk about having a massive amount of back catalog to binge, Gen Y is the spot. I mean, they've got 12 years of content, and their coverage on some of the biggest, and they'll cover all the biggest cases. They'll cover small cases. There's nothing that is off the table for Justin and Aaron. And, and Aaron's got a side pod called Framed, where he really leans into cases where it appears that the prosecution and or law enforcement played dirty and developed tunnel vision and just kind of refused to accept the fact that they got the wrong guy, kind of where they lean in. You've seen those types of cases. First one that always comes to mind for me is the Russ Faria case, which, Russ was the wife of, I always forget her name. She was the crazy one that they did the thing on Peacock. Somebody in the chat will know. But he was the one, he was her husband. Somebody give me her name. For the life of me, I can't remember it. And so ultimately she was friends with Pam Hupp. Thank you so much, Pam Coggin. So the Pam Hupp case, which I think that Peacock, and it was a scripted thing they did, and it was great. Pam Hupp had killed her friend and then basically pinned it on the victim's husband. So, and she got away with it. And Russ Faria was convicted, And then he got a lawyer out of St. Louis, a defense lawyer who had, uh, basically gotten him a retrial. And in that case, he was smart enough, the defense attorney was smart enough to go with a bench trial for the retrial as opposed to a jury. And the judge acquitted him, Russ.
Wow.
And it's like a fascinating case because you've got, Russ Faria and both of his daughters were like 100% behind him. And it was like, there was just the 911 call from when Russ comes into the house and discovers, his wife has been brutally stabbed many, many times. It's a fascinating case, but like in that case, the prosecutor just never relented. Even after he's acquitted, she was just like, no, he's the guy, and it's that mentality which just drives me nuts about prosecutors. And certainly that it's not a global statement as to prosecutors, but we're all human beings. Sometimes you make mistakes in cases. Sometimes the wrong people are charged, and when you double down after somebody's been exonerated and just refuse to admit that you made a mistake, it's like it's my biggest pet peeve kind of in the judicial system. So we're going to talk about a lot of stuff like that. And I'm sure it's going to be a fascinating conversation because, like Aaron's just that guy. He's just a really fascinating guy, and he's been in the pod game forever. So yeah, there it is. There's the True Crime and Paranormal Podcast Festival, which is going down July 12th through the 14th.
For folks from my channel, I had Lainey on. She was a creator who crushed. She's awesome. She's so funny,
Amazing.
so kind. And I was talking to her. I think I mentioned this before, but I think me and Shannon are going to be doing a panel on the Adelsons, folks. Maybe we can have Bob come in there and kind of discuss maybe with the details regarding how hard it'll be for Wendy. But we're going to be there, folks. Me and Bob, and look at all these other people: Sarah Turney, Maura Murray. I mean, these are
Crime Weekly with that's a huge show. They have some like huge gets, and like their lineup of pods this year is next level, and the thing about the True Crime Podcast Festival and what Lainey has done is she has transformed it into a festival that is like right along the lines of what we do in terms of just being like ethically driven. It's like they focus on really concentrating on trying to have the stories from the victims' perspective being told, and when it's not, that it's done responsibly with the victims and their families in mind, as opposed to just going in and talking about the worst day in people's lives, and joking around and just being inappropriate and handling it with no care, and just being oblivious to the fact that you're putting out content for the world to hear, and not being cognizant of the fact that there's people out there in the world that this is their actual life and their actual tragedy and trauma that they've had to live through and will continue to live through for the rest of their lives. So Lainey really like leaned into that, and like every one of these pods that's there really makes that a huge focus. And it's a great festival, and it's one of those festivals where it's smaller than Crime Con, so it's way more intimate, so you just have way more time with creators that you want to hang with and shoot the shit with. And like we typically hang out in like the bar at the hotel and just have a great time. It's a great festival, so I cannot recommend it enough. And for our subs, if you guys use Jay, I don't know what your promo code is.
I never got one.
Just ask Lainey, because if you guys use the promo code for us, it's defense, and you haven't bought tickets, you'll get a tasty discount on your tickets. So, if you're in the area, or like I said, if you're looking to travel, this summer for a weekend, just a weekend getaway and nerd out on some true crime, that's the spot. Oh, it looks like it's my turn for a delivery, Jay. I'll be right back.
Adam67, thank you so much for becoming a bow. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, folks, so this should be cool. I saw someone asked where it's going to be, and I will show you right here. July 12th to 14th, Denver, Colorado. The host hotel is the Denver Marriott Westminster. Let me share the if you're looking for it and you're on the, I'll put it in the chat, but if you're on the replay crew, it's True Crime Podcast Festival.com. And again, it's not only true crime, it's paranormal too. If you saw that when I was scrolling down. And there we are, folks. Look at that. There we are. Our first festival, our first podcast. You can meet us. You can see how awkward I am as a human being. Come join me. And Shannon and Babe, of course, the person you really want to meet. Here's the paranormal podcast. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. And Lainey is all, again, we had her on for an interview. If you go through my playlist, my creators who crush, she was so funny and so awesome. So yeah. Yeah, I'm not I'll have to maybe have some edibles and some adult road, they used to call it when I was working at Geico, road sodas, or because you couldn't say beer when you're at the softball game. And someone asked, by the way, what I did as an insurance adjuster. I was a bodily injury adjuster, litigation. So when someone got into a car accident, and they sued Geico, which was where I worked, and then Liberty Mutual, they would. I was the guy who determined the value of the injuries. I was the guy who got yelled at by the attorneys from Geico and also the attorneys from, the person who was injured. So that was always fun. And that's why I quit and took money out of my 401k to do this. So hopefully I can keep doing this. Otherwise, I got to figure out something. I don't think I'll ever go back to insurance because it is, I'm not going to CrimeCon, Jan. We did not make the cut for CrimeCon, so I'm just going to the True Crime Podcast Festival. Thanks for being here, everybody. If you haven't hit that like button, please hit it. If you're a member of my channel, please subscribe to Bob's. I used to have so much Gecko shit, threw all that shit in the garbage. Oh, excuse me. Office Space was my life. If you ever saw Office, I mean, there was corporate America is the fucking worst. We'd have meetings upon meetings upon meetings. I used to have to listen to my negotiation calls. They would record our calls. Like if I'm negotiating with an attorney, they would record the call, and then we'd have to sit in front of our whole group, like that I was in, and dissect like how you did on the call and how you could do better. Oh, it was the worst. And then like you had to say certain things that they wanted you to say. And like, you would call these attorneys up to settle cases, and you would be like, you would make an offer, and they'd be like, well, is that your final offer or whatever? And obviously you had more money to settle, but Geico would be like, no, just tell them that's it. And I'm like, you guys are such idiots. Anyway, Geico has gone down the shitter big time since I left there. So that was a really good. And now I'm rambling. I'm still on break. If you're coming in late, half-hour break for Chad Daybell trial. The first witness. It's been all about financial stuff so far. It's honestly, just a lot of financial information. I don't know if you need to listen to it. No, Geico is not for the military. USAA is for the military, not Geico. Liberty Mutual was much better than Geico, but it was definitely better. It was definitely better, but it was still fucking car insurance. Blech. Thank you. Thank you to Sandra, who has just subbed to me. Thank you. I've told this story before when I was working at Geico. They I used to work till 4:30 in a building that had 3,000 people. So everyone at 4:30 would leave at the same time. So after your shitty day, it would be like a 10 to 15 minute just traffic in the parking lot. So I would leave 2 minutes early, and then a supervisor, not my supervisor, ratted me out to like our supervisor, like he's leaving 2 minutes early. Pull his timestamps because we had a card, and they pulled them, and I was like, fine. I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take 2 minutes of my vacation time every day of the year. I want 2 minutes of every day that I want to use of my vacation time. If you're gonna give me shit about that, and then they let me start working 15 minutes earlier. So that was. Corporate America, man, it's the fucking worst. They don't care about you. You're just a number to them. Just they try to pretend. It's like that meme where like if you're having a bad day, or if there's morale is bad, they just buy you like they have like a pizza party and they think that everything is great. Blech. Anyway, sorry for bitching. I'm sorry. I don't know. We're just on break here. Thanks for being here. Again, Bob going live tonight. Make sure you check that out. And again, tomorrow, I think tomorrow at 9 Eastern, me and Bob are going to go live and do a little background on the Karen Reed case. Actually, let me check and see. Oh, also, let me plug if there's anyone in Bob's channel. I know most people on my channel are aware that I cover the Adelson case, the Dan Markel case. This weekend, I have 2 shows. I think they're going to be pretty special. Saturday at 3, I am having Katie Bogenschutz, who is a former prosecutor. She's awesome. And we're going to go through the Dan Markel, Wendy Adelson divorce document. So that's going to be really cool. Then Sunday at 3 p.m., I did a analysis of Wendy Adelson. If you don't know who Wendy Adelson is, it's gonna it's gonna drive you crazy. You're gonna not like her. But anyway, Wendy Adelson, we're gonna analyze her police interview with Never a Truer Word. Jack, who was awesome, and Julia Cowley from the Consult Pod. She's a former FBI profiler. Took down the Golden State Killer. So her and Jack are going to break down the Wendy Adelson police interview, part 2, 3 p.m. on Sunday. The Karen Reed Live is going to be Thursday, tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern. 9 p.m. Eastern. Let me just check the old Twitter and see if there's any updates on the Karen Reed case while we're waiting here. Let's see. Check my recent journalists that I've been following and see if they have said anything. The last thing I see, 45 minutes ago, a reporter says Karen Reed has some jury questionnaires in front of her and is marking them up with an orange highlighter. Her defense did not hire outside jury consultants. Defense using its combined experience to select a jury. So that's the latest I've seen regarding today's jury selection in the Karen Reed case. Let me check another journalist. Nothing there. Let me check another journalist. I don't see much. Oh, my Lisa says In my early paralegal career, I was a PI litigation paralegal, and I prepared demand packages to adjusters. Oh, those demand packages were the worst, Lisa. I used to have to go through these demand packages where they would demand a certain amount of money to settle the case, and then if you didn't respond in time, it was bad faith, and then Geico would get mad at you. When do I think the Karen Reed case will go? They picked 4 jurors yesterday. If they go on that, I mean, I don't know if they're going to pick 4 a day. If I had to estimate, I would guess they're done with jury selection Friday or Monday, and then they start either Monday or Tuesday next week. It's just a guess. I don't know, but they already have 4. They already have 4. I think they need 16, right, with the alternates. So, or maybe 18. I don't know what's the number with alternates, but I would anticipate the trial starting early next week. But that's just a guesstimate. I wonder what Bob thinks. Thanks for being here again. If you're coming in late, we are on a breakfast break or morning break for Chad Daybell. They should be back. I don't know what time they left, but they take a half-hour break. Donna Adelson's trial is in September 17th, I believe. Donna Adelson, September, I think it's September 17th. Yeah. So again, me and Katie, I could show you right now what me and Katie Bogenschut's going to be going through. We have the divorce file. If you're not familiar with the Dan Markel, Wendy Adelson case, it was a super contentious divorce, which led to his ex-wife, Wendy Adelson's family, hiring hitman to kill Dan Markel. And this is their divorce file, which is 566 pages. Although I think it's like 800, but I don't know if we have the full thing. But we are going to break it down, man. It's going to be something. And there's also like in here, there's deposition transcripts. Here is Dan. Oh no, here is and you know, Wendy tried to move her kids away. Dan said she was stealing money from him. It's a whole thing that we're going to get into. Thank you, Beck. Beck says, I love listening to Jay and his commentary about these cases. Thank you so much, Beck22.
I'm back.
Abo, back. I was just pulling up. This is the document I was talking about Saturday when I have Katie on and going through the divorce.
Oh, the divorce?
Yeah. So it's 566 pages, although I think it's like 800. I don't know if we have, there might be some stuff that is like sealed. But you've handled this stuff. I mean, there are people who say like,
juicy stuff, man.
Family law could be more dangerous than like criminal law.
Oh, dude. Well, you know what you're going to get from it is so much context. You know, it's like you're going to be able to fill in the gaps, you know, because during the trial, you know, the judge isn't going to be allowing the state to delve into the divorce the way that they probably would like to, because that gives you it fills in all those massive gaps in terms of just how ugly this was, you know, because you've got the defense in that case, like trying to minimize it. Oh yeah, you know, like they knew, you know, she went and met with her attorney. She's an attorney herself. She understood that it was going to be a stretch that they'd win the removal hearing. And like, but when you get into the pleadings, man, and you see the allegations and you know, and it's like back and forth, because there is nothing uglier except for maybe like a probate battle over money. There's nothing uglier than like just a contested divorce.
And by the way,
especially when it's dealing with the custody of the kids.
Right. And you could attest to this, Bob. What Wendy tried to do, like, never happened. She's first of all, she's an attorney, like you said, Bob, but she tried to move the kids. A judge you have to really prove that one of the parents is a piece of garbage to move. And Dan Markel was like a great dad. So like for her to even file that was insane in the first place.
It's super hard. I mean, like like in Illinois, there's certain factors that they have to look at. And like a lot of it ultimately boils down to that aspect of it. Like, is the other parent, very involved with the kids' lives, because a lot of times, you'll have dads that get every other weekend. They don't show up to games and things like that, where you might be able to make an argument. And then if you've got a situation specifically where the kind of the custodial parent is able to provide a better life for their kids in a different area, namely if they've gotten a job offer that is paying them substantially more money. I mean, like, you have to have those things in play to have any shot if you have a parent that is very active and who is a great parent on the other side of it, because it's a huge thing, and courts are just not in the business of separating children from their parents, man. It's not their thing. So, Mag, I always think Bob lives in PA. I don't know why. Well, Allie's from Philly. That might be it. And I am licensed to practice in Pennsylvania after law school. Allie and I first opened our firm in Pennsylvania. We had a practice in Philly, did that for 4 years. And then I ended up coming back to Illinois and dragged Allie with me. So maybe that's why I definitely have PA history. There's no question about that.
If you could see, Bob, again, Chad's head is blocking all the lights on his camera.
My God, it's the Chad clips. I mean,
Chad clips.
Oh my God. I mean, look, every other area of the courtroom is bright and sunny, aside from where Chad's giant head is situated. I mean, like, I think the proof is in the pudding, Jay. I think that we are witnessing, for the first time in human history, a man's giant head causing an eclipse of the
blocking the sun.
Wow. Jay, I had no idea that when we were going to wake up this morning that we were gonna personally observe history.
By the way, Bob, I got another sound clip. You're gonna like this one. Here we go.
Look like an A. Strong men also cry.
Yeah.
Strong men also
cry. All right, first one in the chat who can give us that movie, you get big hugs, virtual hugs from Jay and I. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, I can understand it's a longish movie title. Oh, there we go. Shiraz, The Big Lebowski. Well done. Well done. You win. You win movie quote quiz for the day. Kaylin, a little slow. Kaylin, however, did type big. So maybe that delay, that extra detail caused her. Laura from Oz. Oh, you guys are your flow. Oh, Shiraz. she put the full title in. All right, you guys, you're my people. Jay, have I ever told you about my friendship test? I feel
we don't have anything today on Zoom either.
Oh, whisper.
There's no Zoom hearing.
Who's he whispered to? Yeah. If they like Big Lebowski, right? Like,
yeah. Well, like I know that I will never truly be friends with somebody, not necessarily if they haven't seen The Big Lebowski, but if they've seen it and didn't think that it was probably the line for line the funniest movie that's ever been written and made in a very different way. Because you have like your classic like slapstick comedies, which are great, funny, but The Big Lebowski, in terms of the Coen brothers and their brilliance in script writing, like, so I know, like, if I talk to somebody who's like, oh yeah, I hated The Big Lebowski, I'm like, all right, secretly in my head, I'm like, you're not my people. We'll never be friends. You go fuck yourself. And then, and it goes the same way. People that love The Big Lebowski, we're going to be thick as thieves. It's just, it's a great litmus test. I highly recommend that you employ it in your life, Jay.
The jury's present.
And I'll add what Bob.
All right, thank you, Mr. Daybell. Please be seated.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Yeah. Jay's pulling out all
I
the
love
big
that I could
balls
use
there.
sound effects again. I missed using.
Okay, we're back on the record on KCR 2221-1623, State of Idaho versus Chad Guy Daybell.
Calmer
The
than you
state's
are.
continuing with its case in chief. Detective Considis is on the stand and has previously been sworn and it's under oath. Continuing with direct examination, the court would also note we had previously turned the blinds down for better resolution on the monitor, but had requests from the jurors to have the windows open. And so they're open and hopefully we get good enough resolution on the monitor to go forward. We'll still dim lights when we're showing exhibits. And if it's clear enough, I'm fine to have the windows remain open.
All right, and
So,
we did not anticipate
Mr.
that
Wood,
Chad's
if you'd like to
giant head would
continue
block
with
the sun.
direct, you can do that at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Katie,
Detective,
thank
can
you
you
for coming to
look at
law
State's
today on
Exhibit
Bob's
72
channel.
Oh, Kate Civil Rights.
and 72A?
Welcome to the fam. Aw.
And Your Honor, I just
Family hug.
represent, this is, the 72 is a business record affidavit and 72A is the one subpart. And I believe it comes in by way of
Sending
stipulation.
an email to the judge, Judge Boyce, right now to tell
All right,
him that
exhibit
Chad-
72 has been
Chad
offered as well as
blocking our view of
72A
him.
without objection. Those exhibits are admitted.
Detective, do you recognize State's Exhibit 72 and 72A?
I do.
What are they?
72 is the affidavit of record for Credit Shop, which is the parent company for Mercury, for a credit card application for Alex Cox.
And did you serve a warrant or subpoena to obtain these records?
I did.
Did you review these records?
I have some knowledge of this account, but I was not the primary reviewer.
Did you provide these records to another law enforcement agency?
I did.
Right.
Michael Douglas, forensic accountant at the FBI.
Raz's
All right, thank you.
Wi-Fi, her home Wi-Fi, she named it "I can get you a tow."
We looked at State's Exhibit 73 and 73A.
Love that. You want a tow? I can get you a tow. Put a little green paint down there.
Again, Your Honor, State's Exhibit 73 has a business records affidavit. I believe it comes in by way of stipulation.
Okay, about that. And
That is correct, Judge.
Okay, so 73 and 73A are each admitted as well.
Detective, are you familiar with this document?
I am.
What are these documents?
This is 73 is a business records declaration for a
Finishing my
Wells Fargo
coffee.
account
Finishing my
in the
coffee.
name of Alex Cox for a Visa credit card.
And did you serve a warrant or subpoena to obtain these records?
I did.
Did you review them?
I have some knowledge of them, but I was not the primary reviewer of this account.
Did you provide these documents to Mike Douglas at the FBI as well?
I did.
Thank you. When you look at State's Exhibit 74,
I wonder if in the courtroom,
and again, Your Honor, State's Exhibit 74 is
if Chad
business
is like,
records
looks like a
affidavit
shadow
and with one
in the
or two
courtroom.
subparts. I believe it comes in by way of stipulation.
That's I gotta find out if Chad looks like a shadow to the jurors.
Detective, are you familiar with State's Exhibit 74?
I am.
All right. Your Honor, may that be admitted.
Any objection?
No objection.
Exhibit 74 and 74A and B are admitted.
And are you familiar with these documents?
Yes.
What are they?
It's a declaration of records from Capital One for 2 applications of credit cards in the name of Alex Cox.
And did you review? Did you obtain these through warrant or subpoena?
I did.
Did you review these records?
I have knowledge of them, but I was not the primary reviewer of these.
And does that apply to 74A and B? You
Yes.
provided those to Mike Douglas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Kaylin, I could go all day with Big Lebowski quotes, man. Like I literally, there was a period of my life.
Detective, can you look at
where
State's Exhibit
every
75?
conversation I had was just a series of Big Lebowski quotes strung together. It's a true story.
And Your Honor, State's Exhibit 75 is a business records affidavit with one subpart. I believe it comes in by way of stipulation.
Any
Obviously,
objection to 75 and 75A being admitted?
No, Judge.
All right, 75A and 75 are each admitted.
Detective, are you familiar with these records?
I am.
Did you obtain those through warrant or subpoena?
I did.
Did you provide those documents to Mike Douglas of the FBI?
I did.
Detective, is it fair to say that you reviewed Alex Cox's financial information, specifically the Desert Financial?
Yes.
Did you prepare a demonstrative chart to show a timeline of his financial records and spending?
Yes.
Did you do that in anticipation of testimony today?
Yes.
Would you look at State's Exhibit 86? Is this the chart you've been preparing, that you spoke of preparing?
Yes.
Did you do that to aid the jury in understanding the timeline of some of Alex Cox's banking and events in this case?
Yes.
And is that document a true and accurate representation of what you created?
Yes.
Your Honor, for demonstrative purposes, the state would ask that State's Exhibit 86 be entered into evidence.
No objection, Judge.
Very well. State's Exhibit 86 is entered.
And may I publish?
You may.
Detective, can you walk the jury through this timeline and chart you've created?
Yes, this is the financial timeline for Alex Cox. Again, it's Lori Ballow's brother who moved to Idaho with Lori and Tylee JJ. So this is dated from February 7th, 2019 through December 12th. And December 12th is the day that Alex died. So that's where it stops. But you see in the dark blue part of the timeline, you have the financial credit union 7175. He's got a steady income, regular monthly deposits from his place of work, the Heritage Environment. Everything, I can reiterate, he was kind of responsible in the sense that he was paying his bills and paying on his credit cards. In August 9th, he applies for the $21,000 loan and receives it, and it's deposited into this account. So from August 10th through October 24th, you see here that Alex makes 46 transactions for gun-related purchases. Again, this covers the accounts and the credit card, the financial account, but he's paying on the credit cards through this account. So at the end of August, he quits his job and they move to Idaho with Lori and the kids, and he's got no job, no regular income. And then we see here on November 13th, he opens up the Mountain America Credit Union in Rexburg. And then a short time later, he dies on December 12th.
Thank you. Detective, as part of your investigation, did you review financial documents for Chad Daybell?
I have some knowledge, but I was not the primary reviewer for Mr. Daybell's counts.
All right, but did you obtain any documents for Mr. Daybell?
I did.
Are some of those documents the ones that you testified to earlier that you handed off to the FBI to look at?
Yes.
Okay. But you helped write subpoenas and warrants and obtained financial documents for Mr. Daybell?
I did.
All right. So far, you've provided 2 lists of financial account attribution lists, one for Lori and Tylee and one for Alex Cox. Did you prepare a similar list for the documents you received for Chad Daybell?
Yes.
Did you prepare that in anticipation of testifying today?
Yes.
Can you look at State's Exhibit 76? Did you prepare that document to aid the jury in understanding which accounts exist that contain financial information that you looked at for Chad Daybell?
I did.
And is that a true and accurate representation of the list you created?
Yes.
Did you do that to aid the jury in understanding the documents that you were looking at?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask for demonstrative purposes that State's Exhibit, that State's Exhibit 76 be admitted.
No objection, Judge.
Very well. Exhibit 76 is admitted.
And may I publish?
You may.
So here's the financial account attribution list I created for Mr. Daybell. His main everyday account we learned was from the Mountain America Credit Union. It was a joint account with his wife, Tammy, and the 3007 and the 3301 are two separate accounts within the Mountain America system that they had. And the second account here was for Spring Creek Book Company, and that's the company that Mr. Daybell owns and with his publishing and selling of books. And there was two credit cards assigned to this account, one card ending in 3136 and one card that was issued to Tammy, and the last four numbers were 7171. After that, we have a First Hawaiian bank personal account that Mr. Daybell opened, and that account ends in 9185. There's a Citibank credit card that Mr. Daybell opened an account with. There's also a Visa card associated with the Wells Fargo account. And the last one on the list here was a Capital One account with two cards issued, one to Chad and one to his wife, Tammy.
All right. Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 77? Your Honor, again, State's Exhibit 77 is a certificate of authenticity of this business records, and there are subparts A through I. I believe this comes in by way of stipulation.
77 and 77A.
A through I.
I have been offered. Any objection?
No, Judge.
Very well. Exhibits 77 as well as 77A through I are all admitted.
Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 77A?
Yes.
What is that document?
It is a monthly statement associated to account 3301 for, say, Spring Creek Book Company.
Okay, and did you review this document?
I have some knowledge of it, but I was not the primary reviewer.
Did you serve a warrant or subpoena to obtain this?
Yes.
Is this a document that you handed off to Mike Douglas as well?
Yes.
All right. Can you look at State 77B? And what is that?
This is a Mountain America Credit Union account 3007 for Chad Daybell.
And is it a joint account?
It's a joint account for Chad and his wife, Tammy.
All right. And I'm sorry, in State's Exhibit 77A, who was that account for?
Oh, it was both for Chad and Tammy as well.
And was it involved with Spring Creek Book Company?
Yes.
Do you know what Spring Creek Book Company is?
It's the business Mr. Daybell owns for publishing and selling of books.
Judge, I'm going to object. I think that's a mischaracterization.
Response, Mr. Wood?
I think the officer testified to his knowledge. I don't see how that's a mischaracterization.
Why do you native objection, Judge?
All right, well, I'm just going to overrule the objection. You can go into that on cross, though,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Pryor.
Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 78? Your Honor, State's Exhibit 78 is again an affidavit of a custodian of records. with one subpart 78A. I believe this comes in by way of stipulation.
All right, 78 and 78A are offered. Any objection?
No, Judge.
Very well, both are admitted, 78 as well as 78A.
And Detective, what is State's Exhibit 78A?
It is a account application in the name of Chad Daybell for First Hawaiian Bank.
And did you receive this document by warrant or subpoena?
Yes,
Did you provide this to the FBI?
I did.
Thank you. And can you look at State's Exhibit 79? And Your Honor, 79 is a custodian of records affidavit, one subpart. I believe it comes in by way of stipulation.
That's correct, Judge.
Very well. Then, as offered, Exhibits 79 and 79A are both admitted.
Detective, what is State's Exhibit 79 and 79A?
79 is an affidavit records for Citibank for a credit card in the name of Chad Daybell.
Did you receive this document by warrant or subpoena?
Yes,
Did you provide it to Mike Douglas of the FBI?
I did.
Can you look at State's Exhibit 80? Your Honor, again, I know this is a bit monotonous, but this is State's Exhibit 80 is the business record declaration or affidavit with one subpart. I believe it comes in by way of stipulation.
Any objection?
Judge, it's in by stipulation.
Okay, well, they're only in once I admit them. So Exhibit 80 is admitted and 80A is also admitted. And I appreciate counsel in going through, making sure our record is clear.
Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 80 and 80A?
Yes.
What are those documents?
80 is a business declarations from Wells Fargo. 80A is a Visa card for Wells Fargo for Mr. Daybell.
All right. And did you receive those records by warrant or subpoena?
Yes.
Did you provide them to Mike Douglas of the FBI?
Yes.
And Detective, do you have State's Exhibit? Can you look at State's Exhibit 81 and 81A? Again, 81 is a business records affidavit with one subpart. I believe it comes in by way of stipulation.
That is correct, Judge.
Very well. Exhibit 81 and 81A are both admitted.
Detective, do you recognize State's Exhibit 81A?
Yes.
What is it?
81 is a business records affidavit for Capital One, and the subdocument 81A is the monthly statements for purchases on the Capital One credit card for Chad and Tammy Daybell.
Did you receive those by warrant or subpoena?
Yes,
Did you provide those to Mike Douglas of the FBI?
I did.
Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 88? And Your Honor, 88 is an affidavit of records custodian. It has one subpart. I believe it comes in by way of stipulation.
That's correct, Judge.
All right. And that was Exhibit 88, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Sorry.
Judge.
And 88A are
And
both.
88A.
All right, thank you.
Detective, are you familiar with State's Exhibit 88?
Yes.
What is it?
88 is an affidavit of records from Julie Black of Kauai Dreams Realty for an email that was sent to her.
Okay. And what is State's Exhibit 88A?
88A is a screenshot of an email that was sent from Mr. Daybell to Kauai Dreams Realty.
Detective, how did you receive this document?
Well, I came into this document in February of 2020, trying to locate the kids. We monitor social media sites and came across this document. And so I reached out to Julie Black to see the validity of this email and whether or not it was true or not.
Go ahead. And were you able to verify with her that this was an accurate document?
Yes.
And then she sent it to you with that records of an affidavit?
Yes.
Or affidavit custodian. What date was this email sent?
This date was sent, the email was sent on November 8th. You see right here, 2019. That was about 3 days after Chad and Lori were married in Hawaii.
All right. And who sent the email?
The email address, sender is chad.daybell@gmail.com.
And who is the recipient of the email?
Julie Black.
And can you read the body of the email?
I can. It says, we are interested in seeing this property. Would the owners be interested in leasing this property to a clean couple with no pets or children? Please let us know. Thank you.
Detective, what was of note of this document or why was this document significant to your investigation?
Well, as of November 8th in this email, it's stating that Chad and Lori have no kids. And so we're out looking for the kids, and they Chad puts this in a body of an email saying that they don't have kids. We just found this to be odd.
And when did you receive this email? Do you recall?
It was in February of 2020.
In fact, can you look at State's Exhibit 88? I believe there's a date on the affidavit. And what was the date that the affidavit was submitted?
It was submitted on the 4th of March, 2020.
Okay. And so at this time in your investigation, had you been able to locate Kylie or JJ?
No.
And so was the significance of that to you that Chad Daybell, the husband of the children's mother, was stating they didn't have kids?
Correct.
Judge, that's argumentative.
It's a late objection, so it's overruled. It was answered.
Detective, do you have State's Exhibit 90?
Yes.
Your Honor, again, State's Exhibit 90 is an affidavit of business records. There are two parts, 90A and B. I believe it comes in by way of stipulation.
Any objection to 90, 90A, and 90B?
No, Judge.
All right, all three of those exhibits, 90, 90A, 90B, are admitted.
Detective, can you look at 90A?
Okay.
What is that document?
This is a subscriber information for Cable One. It's one of the online or cable services that's offered in Rexburg. It is named for Lori Vallow, September 3rd of 2019.
And is there an address associated with that?
Yes, it shows 565 Pioneer Road, apartment number 175.
All right. And is there an email associated with that?
Yes, the email listed as lollytime@icloud.com.
Detective, why were these documents of interest to you in your investigation?
Well, as we learned on her rental application when she was moving from Arizona to Idaho, she filled out the lease for apartment number 107. So when the warrants that were served, we found her to be living in apartment 175. The other area of that we'd like to inquiry about was there's a IP address that's associated with this account as well.
And why was that of note to you?
Well, later in our investigation, we found that Lori was in possession of Tylee's cell phone, and Venmo purchases were being made from this cell phone through this IP address.
And so could you track those Venmo payments through that IP address?
Yes.
And when you look at State's Exhibit 90B, what is that document?
This is Cable One subscriber information in the name of Alex Cox for 565 Pioneer Road, apartment 107. And this was generated on September 11th of 2019.
And what was significant to that document in your investigation?
This was the apartment that Lori was originally assigned to be living out of. They had switched apartments.
Right. Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 91? Again, Your Honor, 91 is an affidavit of a records custodian with one subpart 91A. I believe this comes in by way of stipulation.
That's correct, Judge.
Very well. Exhibit 91 and 91A are both admitted.
Detective, do you recognize State's Exhibit 91A?
I do.
What is it?
This is a letter from Windstream Services stating that we were looking for information of a Venmo that was sent from an IP address off of Tylee's phone. And so when researching the IP address, it came back to Windstream Communications. And so we reached out to them and said, do you have any information in regards to Tylee Ryan? And they said that they didn't. They just offer IP addresses or static IP addresses. And this was the IP address that we were inquiring about was issued to a residence in hotel in Kansas City, Missouri.
So what led you to look for these documents?
Again, we were looking back on Tylee's BBVA accounts. We know that she wasn't receiving her regular deposits, and the money that was being deposited into her account was from Lori's account that Tylee had no control over. So she was sending money, transferring it into Tylee's account, and then it would be Venmoed off almost immediately. And so following up on those types of transactions, that's how we came to know this particular IP address.
All right. And so just to be clear, a Venmo from Tylee's account was sent through this IP address.
Correct.
Right. And do you know where this Windstream Services is located?
They're located in Missouri.
And did it give a date for that transaction?
Did October 10th of 2019.
Okay, so the Venmo went through that IP address on October 10th,
Correct.
2019 in Missouri.
Correct.
Okay. Well, can you look at State's Exhibit 92? Again, Your Honor, 92 is an affidavit of a records custodian with the subpart 92A. I believe it comes in by way of stipulation.
That is correct, Judge.
All right, 92 and 92A are both admitted.
Detective, what is State's Exhibit 92A?
92A is a folio bill from the residents in Kansas City Airport, located in Kansas City, Missouri.
And what was significant about this document to you?
This was the location of the IP address that was given on Tylee's cell phone on that date.
Okay. And does this document identify any individual for renting a room?
Yes. The room was purchased by Melanie Boudreau, who is Lori Vallow's niece.
All right. And do you know if anyone else was with her?
We know that Lori traveled to Kansas City with Melanie on this date. They flew from Phoenix to Missouri on the 10th and returned to Phoenix on the 12th. And we can confirm that with the airline reservations.
All right. And what was significant about that trip to you in your investigation?
That Lori was in Missouri using Tylee's phone and Tylee wasn't there.
Okay. Were you able to verify through flight records where they flew from?
I did.
Where did they fly from? Bailiff? Where did they fly from?
They flew from Phoenix to Missouri, according to the flight records.
And so on that folio, it only stated the two people.
The two people, yes.
So there was no Tylee Ryan on that folio?
No. And
No JJ Vallow?
No, and it shows that the room was paid for by Melanie.
Okay. Detective, we're going to shift gears a little bit. As part of your investigation, did you ever engage in any type of search for pharmaceutical records?
Yes.
What type of search did you do?
In cases such as missing persons, we'll reach out if we have an idea of where the person we were looking for is living or has lived, and we will reach out to the state as a resource to the state pharmaceutical board and request if any prescriptions were filled that may lead us to a location that or an area that they may be in.
And did you do that for, who did you do a search for?
I did a search for JJ. I did a search for Tylee. There was one we searched for Melanie Boudreau as well, and also Lori.
And how do you go about doing a search for pharmaceutical records?
We'll reach out to the pharmaceutical board in the state and submit a request and let them know the circumstances, and they will then submit the information to you.
All right. And does each state do that the same?
Same premise, but they're all a little bit different. But we reached out to the state of Arizona, the state of Montana, and the state of Hawaii, and the state of Idaho.
Why Montana?
Well, early on, as this case was unfolding at the very beginning, we were receiving tips, and one of the tips called in. They thought maybe JJ and Tylee were being held in a compound in Montana somewhere. So we just called upon that to check on that. Right. And also that Melanie Boudreau at the time was living directly next door in apartment 174. So that's why her name was run as well.
Detective, can you look at States Exhibit 94 and 94A? Your Honor, States Exhibit 94 is a records affidavit of records custodian. I may just have a very brief sidebar.
Yes.
Hi, LB. My channel is at the shaming of Jay. Little sidebar. Oh, I gotta get my shots sound effect. Although I did get this one. I know you like this one, Bob.
Shots. Aww. That's my favorite. That's actually like, did you capture me snoring? Like, when did you creep in my room and do that shit, dude? Like, I didn't even wake up.
Shots. Let's see if I have it. Let's see if this works. This might be loud. Hopefully not too loud. Yes. Oh, I love that I figured this out. For folks who don't know, during the Gwyneth Paltrow trial, which was the first trial I streamed, we started doing shots during sidebars because they did so many of them. By the way, Bob,
Sidebar.
There's another civil trial that we have to cover. I'm hoping it's not during one of our, like, it's not during like a bigger trial, but I don't know if you saw this. Charlotte put it in my Discord. Channing Tatum, and I forget his wife's, is it Jenna Dewan, something Dewan? So they're getting a divorce, and it might.
All right,
I'm just gonna pause.
I apologize, detectives.
It's super interesting to me. So, and I think it might be streamed. I hope it is, and I hope it's not. But anyway, so he's getting a divorce, but the issue is his wife. If anyone knows her name, please put it in there. The issue is, like, she believes she has rights to the Magic Mike franchise. Like, I'm not sure. Like, so like she didn't do, like, I think, I'm not sure what she's claiming, but like he's like, that's all I worked on that, I acted in it, but like she's saying she has rights in it to it. So like, and like they're not going to settle, and it's going to go to trial. Jenna Dewan, thank you, Donna. So like, just like, that would be a cool trial just to watch, because like, no one's
Jenna Dewan.
but like civil trial is nice just because obviously it's not like someone got murdered or something, but that would be just super interesting to see them both kind of testify to like why they think they have the rights to it. And anyway, just something to keep a lookout. Thanks for letting us know about that, Charlotte.
When you look at States Exhibit 94 and 94A, and I can't remember if this was admitted or not.
Not yet.
Okay. Your Honor, again, 94 is an affidavit of a records custodian. 94 is the subpart. I believe this comes in by way of stipulation.
That's correct, Judge.
Very well. 94 and 94A are both admitted.
Detective, what was States Exhibit 94A?
These are prescription monitoring program checks for the state of Hawaii through the Hawaii Narcotics Enforcement Division.
And did you find any records of prescriptions for J.J. Vallow in Hawaii?
I believe we did, but not in the time frame that we were requesting.
Okay. And did you find any prescriptions for Tylee Ryan?
No, I don't believe so.
You mentioned checking in Montana.
Yes.
And can you look at States Exhibit 95 and 95A? Your Honor, again, I believe that this document comes in by way of stipulation.
That's correct, Judge.
All right, Exhibit 95 and 95A, both admitted.
And Detective, if you'll look at 95A, when you submitted names to these states, did you just do one name or multiple names?
We did multiple names. We knew that when we were looking through the airline records, JJ would fly under the name of Ryan, or he'd fly under the name Vallow. So we just we would use both last names when we were
Jay, look at
searching.
your text.
Researching for this.
So what was the name you searched for on this page?
JJ Ryan.
And here?
Joshua Jackson Vallow.
Here?
Joshua Jackson Ryan.
Here?
Melanie Boudreau.
On this page?
Melanie Pulowski. This would be Melanie Boudreau's current last name. She had remarried in November of 2019.
I just emailed it to him, Bob.
Oh, cool. All right.
And the last here is Tyler Ryan.
Did you ever find records of Tyler Ryan traveling under a different name?
Only once, and that was on a trip to Hawaii in early 2019. She flew under Tylee Vallow one way and returned Tylee Ryan in a different on the return leg.
Detective, did you perform that search in Idaho?
I did not. Another detective did, but the search was performed.
And are you aware if any results came in from that search?
There were no results.
All right. And any results from Arizona?
No results.
I'm just going to pause this real quick, folks, because
we have breaking news.
Breaking news. Let me bring them on here. You know them. You love them.
Yeah.
Joe Jackson. What's up, Joe?
What's up, Joey?
Not much. All right. So I've been monitoring the Rex Heuermann situation, and everything seemed to go like pretty bland. He was only in there for a few minutes. From what I'm told, that was really nothing. It was basically another discovery dump. And then the lawyers didn't say nothing. And then all of a sudden, I just get a thing through the wire through James, not James Brown, excuse me, Brown. I forgot his first name. The attorney for Rex Heuermann.
Michael, right? Is it
you know
Michael?
What I'm talking about?
Michael Brown. Michael Brown.
Michael Brown. Thank you, Michael Brown.
Yep.
Anyway, now he is demanding all of the files in pertaining to James Burke and the investigation and what the FBI's investigation was on James Burke. And here's another little tidbit. When you read through what Michael Brown has requested, the interesting part of this is not only I probably good luck getting the FBI files, but the files that he's going to get from Suffolk County is interesting because in his request, he is asking for then District Attorney Tim Sini, who had said that they were looking at a cop whose initials were WH. And if you recall, the WH is that belt that they've been talking about. You know, the entire they're saying now it belongs to Rex's grandfather, who was like Wilhelm Heuermann or something like that. So it's actually kind of an interesting little tidbit. But I mean, it's pretty much like clockwork. You knew that James Burke was going to enter this picture eventually because so much speculation online about James Burke being the serial killer. And listen, as far as I'm concerned, James Burke's a lot of things. I don't think he's part of the killing field, so to speak, in Gilgo.
Wow. That's interesting though, man. That is there's the defense turning up the heat, trying to drag the cops into the whole thing. It's like when you think about those damn affidavits, it's like I don't know. I mean,
by the way, folks, before Joe, before you go, guys, if you're new to our channels, me and Bob's, you might not know who Joe Jackalone is. He is awesome, and I'm going to share his link. Make sure you sub up both from mine and Bob's channel. He has an awesome YouTube channel giving breaking updates like this. But go ahead, Joe.
Thanks, Jake and Bob. Yeah, so the interesting thing was that this was going to come up, I'm sure, eventually. And like Bob knows, like I said, if you can't attack the evidence, you got to attack the cops. I mean, that's basically what you're dealing with in this situation. James Burke is a character for sure. I mean, he just recently got himself locked up for trying to pick up a mail in at Bald Hill. So that's that's a whole other story. But he's the gift that keeps on giving if you're a reporter or you're talking about this case. That's for sure. But you know, but here's where the problem lies, right? Because if people who really have followed this case pretty closely, they know that the FBI was thrown out, from the investigation originally, and a lot of people have speculated it's because James Burke didn't want, his doings with prostitutes to be found out. I don't think that was the case. The case that I'm kind of lean on is because he and Thomas Spoda were doing some serious things on the side. Didn't want the FBI like poking in on what's going on. Some have said that James Burke didn't want the FBI to solve the case, and that he wanted to do it. But just from hearing what happened after Harrison took over, there was no chance of him solving this case. So, the issue that comes down to is what will this do? It will probably just prolong the inevitable, when the trial starts, because now they're going to ask for a separate set of documents that really has nothing to do with anything. But Michael Brown's buying himself some time.
I mean, the judge could deny it. The judge could say it's a fishing expedition. I'm not willing to do it. Go pound sand. But I mean, we'll see. It's certainly, it's like, it's interesting. I agree with you, Joe. I think it's probably much ado about nothing, but it certainly makes it interesting.
And folks,
it was inevitable.
Guys, I was just gonna say, if you guys are familiar with Long Island Serial Killer, if you're following the case, there was a show called The Killing Season, and the writer and director Josh Seaman, who Joe has had on before, who's always done an awesome job. This Saturday, 4/20 at 1 p.m. He's having him on again, and Joe always does a great show with Josh, so I'm sure you'll be talking about this information.
Oh yeah, this is the gift that keeps on giving for sure, right? So Josh and I had a lineup, and now that's all out the window because this is going to be the big discussion, because Josh has a lot of information that never made the TV show, right? It ended up on the cutting room floor. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Of course, there was according to Newsday, there was no response from the FBI nor James Burke. That's not a big surprise, but I'll tell you, things are getting kind of interesting. I mean, I thought this thing would start in 2025 sometime, but maybe late 2025 the way this is going.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, thanks, Joe, dude. We love you.
Guys.
The Sarge, you're the best.
Thanks,
Boots
Joe.
on the ground. Intel,
You're
breaking
welcome.
news. We love you, man.
I'm glad I was able to drop in, you fellas. I'll see you later.
You're the best. Thanks, Joe. Everyone, make sure
Thanks,
you subscribe
Sarge.
to Joe right now. Get on his YouTube. Follow him on Twitter. He's kind of part of our group that, if you're new to us, you might not know. Publicly Buzz. Joe, Missy Mayhem is. We have a bunch of channels that we love. So make sure you're following Joe. Thank you, Joe, for that update.
100%.
See, we will break. That's something you'll find on our channel here. We're gonna have experts coming in during Karen Reed.
Dropping in.
Our network is pretty cool. The folks that we have on. So
we love it, and we think you will too. Spread the word. Spread the word. All right, let's go back to Pumpkinhead. Let's see what's up.
From Arizona, although they live down there, I was educated that Arizona only keeps track of narcotic analgesics or painkillers, opiate-based drugs. That's all they keep track of. They don't do anything for any other types of medications.
Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 96? In Your Honor, 96 is an affidavit of a records custodian, and it has one subpart A.
Any objection to 96 and 96A being admitted?
No, Judge. Thank you.
Very well, both are admitted.
Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 96A? That is. Do you recognize that document?
I do.
Did you obtain that document?
I did.
And what is it?
This is an email exchange that Lori Vallow sent to Michael Edson. It's a little blurry on my screen here. If it's a way I don't have a copy in my possession. Okay, there you go.
Is that better?
Yes. This is an email sent from Lori Val to Mike Edson. We learned that it was a tax accountant that did Lori and Charles' taxes. And she sent an email to him asking if you'd like me to read the body, I could.
So it looks to me, Detective, like there's two emails. Can you tell which email was sent first?
I want to clarify exhibits here, Mr. Wood. Which exhibit is this being published right now?
That would be 96A.
All right. My 96A courtesy copy is the subpoena, but not the email.
Wait, can I approach?
You may. I'll just have the bailiff provide you a copy of my courtesy copy. And if I don't, it's
You have.
okay. You can go ahead and publish it, Mr. Wood. It's been.
Your Honor, we'll correct that after court.
Thank you.
Detective, can you, all right, who's that email from again?
Michael Edson.
And are you aware of who Michael Edson is?
Yes, he was a tax accountant for Lori and Charles Val.
All right. And can you read the body of that email?
So the first email was sent by Lori on September 9th. It says, "Hi, Mike. This is Lori Vallow. I'm not sure if you heard, but Charles passed away in July. It's been a pretty stressful couple of months. I saw online our tax return got sent out, but it went to an old address. I moved with the kids and forwarded the mail, but I'm not sure that they will forward the tax return check. Is there some way to contact them to cancel that check and do a direct deposit? Or how would that work? Let me know when you can. Thanks, Lori."
Did he respond?
He did.
How did he respond?
He responded by email. Lori sent her email at 5:03 p.m. and he responds the same date at 6:11 p.m. Says, "Lori, I'm sorry to hear about Charles. I really thought he was a great guy. If there's anything I can do to help, please don't hesitate to ask." In the interim, here is the link to the IRS to fill out a change of address form so they can send you the check up to the.
What's up?
Laura from Oz had to dip out for a meeting. I was just telling her that she'll be in our hearts and minds as she's having to go through the grind.
The new address. Prayers with you, Mike.
Detective, why was this email exchange significant to your investigation?
Well, the email itself is rather benign. It's just appears to be a classic back and forth of exchanging information. But the date on the email is what was important to us, being September 9th. We recall our last known sighting of proof of life of Tylee was September 8th and September 9th. So we believe the investigation has found that Tylee was no longer living at the time of this email.
Okay. And was it significant to you that was just one day after her last known sighting?
Yes.
Okay. Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 98? And Your Honor, this is 98 is a certificate of authenticity with one subpart 98A. I believe it comes in by way of stipulation.
Very well. 98 and 98A are both admitted.
Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 98A? And can you describe what it is?
98A is airline information that we received via search warrant for 2 American airlines. We requested several names in the warrant to see if we could find out whether or not Tylee or JJ were on a plane somewhere during our search for them.
And these are the American airline records.
Oh, JD can hear. I am in fact getting the lawn butter.
History of Tylee Ryan or JJ Vallow
Getting the
Lori
lawn
Vallow
whipped, but
on
with
this
the
document?
There were several flights for
thought that's what it
Lori
was.
during the period of time we requested from January 1st of 2019 through 2020. And there was only 2 flights that were listed for Tylee, and one was in February and one was in March, and they were both round trips to Hawaii. But there were no flights for JJ.
So, no, I'm sorry, did you say no flights for JJ?
No flights for JJ on American Airlines.
And what was the time frame in which you asked for these records?
January 1st of 2019 through the end of the year.
And do you recall why that was?
Well, we knew that they had moved up to Idaho in September, but we wanted to see if there was any regular places that they went to or visited that we may reach out to another agency or something to try to find and locate JJ and Tylee.
Right. And so to clarify, you stated you found 2 flights for Tylee Ryan to Hawaii
Yes,
and multiple flights for Lori Vallow.
correct. And also Chad Daybell.
Oh, okay. And what of those flights of Lori Vallow are of interest to your investigation?
Well, the biggest one was in and around time of that Tammy Daybell was killed.
Grounds. Sustain. I'll strike just the last part of the response saying Tammy was killed.
All right. Are you aware of what day Tammy Daybell died?
Yes, it was the 19th of October, 2019.
All right. And so one of these flights of Lori Vallow coincided with that death. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And there was another flight as well that was in and around that time that was pertinent to us.
And what flight was that?
That was the flight in early November where Chad and Lori flew to Hawaii to get married. They were married on November 5th, and they flew out on the 3rd of November.
And that was on these American Airlines documents.
Correct.
Okay. Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 100? Your Honor, State's Exhibit 100 is a business records affidavit with one subpart A. I believe it comes in by way of stipulation.
Any objection to the admission of 100 or 100A? All right, both are admitted.
Detective, State's Exhibit 100, what is it?
It is business records affidavit for Southwest Airlines.
And what is 100A?
This are airline information reservations for Southwest Air.
And did you find anything in these records that were pertinent to your investigation?
We found that Lori and Charles traveled on this airline through 2019, and we learned that JJ had flown 6 times, but that was all prior to them moving to Idaho.
Okay. And do you know what those flights were?
They were flights from Phoenix to Houston, where Charles Vowell lived at the time, and JJ would fly back and forth between Phoenix and Houston to visit.
Okay. And did you find any other records on Southwest Airlines that were pertinent to your investigation?
Just give me a moment.
Those flights for JJ Vallow.
Correct.
Did you find any flights for Tylee Ryan on Southwest?
Don't believe we did.
Detective, do you have State's Exhibit 99? And again, Your Honor, State's Exhibit 99 is a business records declaration with one subpart A.
I do not have that.
Jay, Donnie says hello.
Your Honor, may the witness be handed a copy.
All right. I don't believe the court has a courtesy copy of that one either.
Donnie.
Can I ask counsel? Okay.
You can still.
I guess, can you show it to counsel in the court and then?
Jay Yurts and Things had asked,
I'll just do some light reading, Judge.
Very well.
why couldn't they use the word killed instead of died? That was determined by the ME already. The question is whether Chad killed her. WTF is the issue. A lot of times, there's definitely family members in the gallery. I know that Larry and Kay Woodcock have been attending. There could be other family members there. It's probably just a matter of courtesy and trying to be sensitive to what's already a very sensitive topic for those in the gallery that may be related to the kids. Is my best guess.
All right, awesome. I wonder what's going on here. Oh, they must be. Oh, it looks like there's a sidebar. Well, they're coming towards. I wonder if they're coming about towards lunch break and figuring out what they're going to do.
Sidebar. Yeah.
Is there no audio? Please. This is where I start having a stroke. And
Does the prosecutor, does he have a mask on, or I can't tell, dude?
No, I think he just has like a beard.
Oh, really? He's so teeny. Such a teeny little guy.
Do I not have audio? What's going on here?
If only he had a head the size of Chad. Make it feel him.
And does it say who purchased the flight?
This flight was purchased by Lori Vallow through her BBVA account.
But the person flying was Mr. Daybell.
Correct.
Detective, we've talked a lot about finances and travel. Looking at, is it fair to say you've reviewed several travel records pertaining to individuals involved in this case?
Yes.
And did you have to look at a large amount of documents to do so?
Yes.
Detective, in aid of the jury understanding the travel dates that are important to your investigation, did you prepare a timeline that shows the travel of the different parties?
Yes.
And what records did you use to create that timeline?
We used airline records from Allegiant, Delta, American, United.
And did you prepare that document in aid of your testimony today?
Yes.
Do you believe it would aid the jury in understanding the dates
Yes.
and the places traveled to?
Yes.
Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 303? Detective, is this that document that you prepared in aid of the jury?
Yes.
Is it a true and accurate representation of what you prepared?
Yes.
Your Honor, for demonstrative purposes, the state would move to admit Exhibit 303 into the record.
For demonstrative purposes, there's no objection, Judge.
All right, Exhibit 303 is admitted.
Detective, I'm going to turn your attention to the first page of 303. And can you walk the jury through this timeline?
Sure. This is a travel timeline for Chad and Lori Daybell. This first box on top of the timeline right before January shows that Chad and Lori met on the 26th of October in 2018. So this starts in January of 2019. So in January on the 6th to the 10th, Chad Daybell flies round trip from Idaho Falls to Phoenix, and the flight was booked in December of 2018 by Mr. Daybell using the Chad Daybell Gmail address, the same one he used for the Kauai Dreams Realty. As we move to March, we see that Lori Vallow booked a round trip flight from Phoenix Mesa to Idaho Falls, but she canceled this flight on the 26th for unknown reasons. But she ended up booking a flight and flew to Hawaii for this time frame. In the middle to late March, on the 19th to the 21st, Chad Daybell flew from round trip from Idaho Falls to Phoenix Mesa, and the flight was booked on the 13th of March 2019 by Lori Vallow, and this is her Lolly Time Forever iCloud email associated with that account. In April, Lori flies one way from Phoenix Mesa to Idaho Falls. The flight was booked on the 29th, so it was fairly quick. And then she flies one way back to, on the next one up here, she flies back from Idaho Falls to Phoenix, and that was booked on the 3rd of April. Again, and she booked her flight. On April 26th, this is the one we just talked about, Chad flew round trip from Idaho Falls to Houston, Texas with a stop in Denver. It was booked by Lori Vallow and paid for by her BBVA bank account. Mr. Daybell did use his Spring Creek credit card to pay for an extra baggage for the flight. As we move over into May, we see Lori flew one way from Phoenix Mesa to Provo, Utah, and the flight was booked by Lori. And then up here we have the date of July 11th, 2019. That's the day that Charles Vallow died.
Gonna pause this real quick. Yurtsin thing says Pryor's attitude sucks. He constantly sounds angry and condescending. Can't imagine the jury even likes him and wonder how much of him they hear. If you're coming in late, folks, we have boots on the ground. Not Lori Hellis, someone else who prefers to remain anonymous, but they said that the jury does not like Pryor.
No likey.
And they're making faces, right, Bob? What was it that they said that they're like?
Let me see. I'll read it one more time here real quickly. So and this this came in yesterday. So this is and Pryor was very active yesterday. So Pryor is not sensitive to ensuring that people like him. He's the most condescending ass on the planet. He took digs at Lindsey Blake during voir dire. He is also he is so unlikable and is absolutely ignorant to it. The jury is not loving him. Any points he is getting, he is losing because of himself. The looks of disgust on their faces is so evident, and he is so focused on making his points that he isn't seeing the fact that he's losing them being the jury. So that was somebody whose boots on the ground in the courtroom, obviously observing the jury, like any lawyer does. I mean, you always want to look at the jury because you're always trying to. That's kind of a fun thing to do if you're in a courtroom. Is try to get into the minds of the jurors. It's a bit like, it's a bit like trying to read somebody at a poker table, you know,
It's tough.
try to figure out whether or not they're bluffing, you know, try to see where their mind's at. Oh, there's a tell. You know, you're doing that same kind of thing with the jury. So it appears from our boots on the ground in the courtroom, not big John Pryor fans. So
I'll tell you this much. I'll tell you a story about me and my counsel at Geico trying to read a jury. We had a jury in Brooklyn, New York, in a bodily injury case with an arthroscopic surgery to the shoulder. And to me, the attorney came off like a total douche. He was like a hipster, you know, Brooklyn type deal. So, you know, my job was to go to the trial, monitor it with the attorney. We're both watching it. We think we're doing a good job. For folks who don't know, an arthroscopic surgery to a shoulder is not a very serious, like, it's like a minimally invasive surgery. Anyway, we offered something like 60 grand to sell a case. They usually come in around 100 to 125 grand, depending. We had we had a 300,000 policy with $1 million umbrella, and the jury comes back at $1.2 million. Man, that's why, like, in civil cases, like that's why also venue, like, we haven't even talked about that, but like
venue's huge.
Venue is like civil, criminal. You got to know the people who are in your venue, what they think. Are they like other people in the jury box similar to the person who's a defendant, or are they similar to the, you know, there's so much to it, but sometimes it's hard to read a jury, and if you can really tell that they're disgusted by him, that's interesting to me. And speaking of boots on the ground, Bob, we may have some at in Karen Reed, because someone tweeted at me today. My sister-in-law's cousin is a retired Boston PD officer and is friends with everyone involved in the Karen Reed case. My brother lives in the town next door. Seriously consider going. Need a correspondent? To which I responded, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Please.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
we might have boots on the ground there. Also, I can give you a quick update. I just checked the journalist that is following it, who said as of 6 minutes ago, selection is still going. About 40 jury candidates still need to be questioned from this batch. They haven't called a break yet. So just giving you a little update.
Have they I missed it. Have they selected any more?
No, they haven't. There's no,
see,
this person hasn't reported that.
Dry spell, man. Dry spell,
yeah,
maybe,
so,
you know.
Exactly.
All right, that's great news. I think that a friend, a fellow creator, Lana from Truth and Transparency, said that she was going to Karen Reed, and she will definitely jump on and give us updates.
Awesome.
Yeah, she's great. She's like a deep diver, so she would, like, her insights would probably be pretty awesome too. So, man, boots on the ground will be phenomenal for us.
We are really trying to give you guys like the best experience, so we'll continue to do that.
Yep. Love y'all.
Absolutely.
Can you walk the jury through the second page of that timeline?
Okay.
Try and zoom in a little bit.
One thing I want you to take notice of, if you could please, is that after Charles Vallow dies, Lori flies under the name of Lori Ryan the rest of the year. I think she booked a flight a day or so after Charles died, but still used the name Vallow, but everything else is Lori Ryan. So in August, you see up here the timeline, they're moving to Idaho. And then late August, Lori flies up a round trip from Phoenix Mesa to Idaho Falls, and she books her flight. And Melanie Boudreau, and that's Lori's niece, she was also on this trip. We believe that this is the signing of the rental lease just prior to them moving up. You see here on the timeline as we go on September 8th, it's the last known sighting of Tylee Ryan. We move over to the 22nd. That's our last known sighting of JJ. So in October 8th through the 13th, Lori Ryan flies a round trip from Idaho Falls to Phoenix Mesa. And this is the trip where she took to Missouri, which we had the Venmo used from the Missouri hotel. What's significant about this date is this is the day before Tammy Daybell had an incident where she was shot at and reported to police.
Judge, I'm going to object at this point at the characterization.
I'll sustain it as to that final statement and strike that part of the witness response. Mr. Wood, if you'd ask another question, I believe we're just getting into a little narrative at this point as well.
I understand, Your Honor. After October 9th, what was the next event that took place?
Lori flies round trip from Las Vegas to Kauai. The date of the 17th of October is just before Tammy Daybell was found dead on the 19th. She was scheduled to return on the 21st on this flight. As you move over to the 24th of October, she flies one way from Phoenix to Idaho Falls after flying back from Hawaii. Now down here we have on the 23rd, just to give you a sense of where on the timeline things falls, that Tammy Daybell had her funeral service in Rexburg on the 23rd. As we move to early November, Chad and Lori fly round trip from Salt Lake City to Kauai. Chad flies from Salt Lake City. Lori, we believe, drove a vehicle down to Arizona and then met up with Chad in Southern California. There was a family trip that Chad took with his kids to California during this time. But what was significant to us is that Chad booked this flight just 5 days after the funeral service for Tammy Daybell. Continuing.
Well, Detective, I actually want to ask you a question.
Mr. Wood, I'd like to take a look at the time as well. I don't know how much longer you've got on the timeline, but.
You got one more page, Your Honor?
Okay, let's do that, and then it'll take long.
Okay. Detective, this last box, you'll see my pen pointing at, that's marked 11/3/2019. Does that coincide at all with what your investigation shows about the marriage of Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow?
Yes, they departed for Hawaii and were married in Hawaii on the 5th of November.
Okay. And then one last page. Detective, what's marked in the first two boxes?
So we have here Lori and Chad flew one way from Hawaii to Phoenix. And below that, they arrived in Idaho Falls on Allegiant Airlines. On the 28th, Chad flew one way from Salt Lake. And again, I believe I may have mixed up on the last page, but Lori was scheduled to be on this flight, but we believe she drove her car to Arizona. His box on the reservation was marked flown and hers was left empty, so it was designated to open. So, and this was also a trip that was a family trip that Chad paid for his kids and their spouses to fly to California to have over the Thanksgiving holiday. There was no record of Tylee or JJ on this trip at all.
Now, Detective, you had mentioned a trip earlier. Is it possible that this was the trip you were talking about?
Yes.
Okay. And then the last box.
The last box is Chad and Lori flew one way from LAX to Hawaii, where they took up residence.
Okay.
Then the last
there's one more box. Can you?
Box on the top of the timeline is June 9th, and that's when we found JJ and Tylee.
All right. Your Honor, I believe now would be time to break.
Okay, we will go ahead and take the lunch recess at this time. We'll plan on that being right around an hour. So just shortly after 1 o'clock, we'll try to get started again and go through the afternoon with another break then.
All rise, please.
All right, folks. So that is, I'll probably set it up for like 3:10, which is like in an hour. And when I end this, I'm going to portal my folks, and probably if you set it up too, poorly to your live tonight. So we don't know how it works, folks. But like it just so it gets in the algorithm.
We don't understand their modern world, the YouTube world, of its weird algorithms and things. But Allie just hooked me up with some Lizanch, man. Woo!
Nice.
It's got a big bowl of deliciousness right in front of me. Delicious fumes of goodness wafting up. Ah. All right, we love y'all. So what time do they say we're back, Jay? Like 2-ish?
Like an hour, yeah. So I'll set it up for like 3:10, which is about 1 hour. Do you have your portal set up to go to your stream tonight?
No, I'll do it when you send me the link for the afternoon.
Oh, you're gonna do. I'm saying all right. So for mine right now, it's gonna take you there, guys. In my chat, make sure to like it. I'll do it for the afternoon too.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, but we will be back in 1 hour, folks. Thanks, everybody.